welcome to the Right Before Reset podcast. If the name doesn't make any sense to you, tonight is reset night in Australia, so that's why we called it this for season 1. In a couple of hours, it's reset, so we try and do the podcast every second Tuesday. Obviously, WoW's been in a bit of a weird place lately in terms of content and stuff like that, so we haven't really done it for about a year. Most of the people that used to be on it, if you're confused or if you're listening to this later on, a lot of the people that were on it previously no longer play WoW. A lot of them are on to other things. I'm not necessarily going to say better things because some of them are playing GTRP still. So yeah, they're just doing other things. But no, it's good to have the people here. So we'll start, I guess, to my left. If you're listening in, the person next to me, if you want to introduce yourself.
Is that me?
That's
don't know.
you, yeah.
Hello.
This way.
All right, I need to actually look at this. Yeah, what's up? Hi, I'm Mr. GM. You can call me Dan because I dislike that name. But yeah, I still play WoW. There you go.
I thought you were just a beta player. Isn't that what? Isn't that the meme
PTR,
now?
Yeah, I just play PTR. Yeah, I was actually on the PTR a minute ago.
I was on Diablo, so.
Touchpad and I have had many conversations about. I'm very close to muting you on Twitter because I see so many spoilers, and I'm just like, God damn it! Every time when I log in. So,
I wouldn't blame you.
Well, if you played the PTR, then you wouldn't have any spoilers.
Okay, I'm busy playing Diablo. Speaking of
now you are.
rat bags, below me, directly below me, for people that are not listening in, who is below me? That is you, my gingered friend.
Wow. We're introducing ourselves? Is that what it is?
Yes, it's the first episode.
Sorry, I was cropping stuff. I'm sorry. Okay, Jesus. Hi, I'm Touchpad Warrior. I play WoW on a touchpad keyboard, but it might as well be Touchpad Barbarian because I'm playing a lot of Diablo.
True. Actually, a very famous TikToker. So we're very happy to have him here. You wouldn't believe it. He's
Do a TikTok dance.
Yeah.
Do a TikTok dance for us. Go on.
He knows him. He knows him. Full-time TikToker. There he goes. And
my own swordman.
To the other bottom corner, I think personally one of the most underrated streamers on this platform. I've said it for many years. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. GM.
All right, what's up, guys?
My goodness. Thank you, Better. Yeah, so I'm Sai, big long time WoW guy. And God, I forgot anything about me. I like playing WoW. I like playing Diablo. I like playing Feral Druid. I like making guide content and helping people, approaching the game in a positive way. And also, I like going to the gym. That's me. That's everything about me.
Yeah, fair enough.
There you go.
I'm PandaTV, but if you're listening or watching for some reason, if you don't know who I am, I've been streaming for 11 years, and chat sucked the soul out of my body about 8 years ago. So I'm still here somehow, but you'll get to that point. Just start streaming. It doesn't take long. Give it 3 years, but I'm still here. So, hello, let's talk about WoW. So, first question, or first thing that I think we should talk about, and if you guys have a topic that you'd rather talk about first, feel free to jump in. I want to bring a question forward to you all, because this is something we talk about a lot on my stream all the time anyway. I think WoW is in a phenomenal place. I think WoW is in a really, really, really good place. Now, I'm talking pre the last week, right? I'm not talking about the last week. The last week makes sense for everyone, right? I think WoW is in a phenomenal place, but I feel personally like it's the lowest engagement rate, or maybe it's just my personal friendship circle. It's probably the least amount of friends that I have playing in a very long time. Now, I don't know if it's coming from just the back end of Shadowlands. People don't really want to be playing WoW anymore, or what do you guys personally think that it is?
So I'd like to jump in on that one, because I was actually just going to say I've had the opposite effect. I've had more of my IRL friends play than they've always played WoW, and that's how we all met and stuff and became friends. But like, they're still playing now this expansion, and normally they quit after 2 weeks. They barely get max level, and they go, I can't be bothered. But they're still playing now, and not only that, they're actually pushing content. So they're coming to my like viewer heroic raids every week, and they're getting loot, and they're enjoying those, and then they're actually pushing Mythic Plus. Like, I just went to Japan, I came back, some of them had already hit into like two and a bit KIO, and
Nice.
we're like, oh yeah, like I'm doing keys to them, and normally I'm the guy who's like, oh my god, come on guys, I can't believe you didn't kick, and then they're like, okay Joe, so we're gonna need to like stealth past these mobs, we're gonna pop the invis pot here, and I'm like, oh, okay, like you take the reins. So for me, it's been a really enjoyable experience watching my friends still play. But I agree, in general, it does seem like the game is in an incredible state. I don't know exact WoW numbers, but I hope numbers are up because the game is great. And like, hats off to the development team that they're doing a great job. They're killing it.
Fair point. I think I think like a lot of people played at the start of the expansion, but the thing is with Dragonflight is there's no, endless grind, right? So people are playing and kind of doing their things. If you've got Mythic Plus to do or raiding or whatever, you do that. But like from a casual point of view, there's not a ton of stuff to do. Like, at least like there's no endless grind like Azerite or I can't even remember what the rest of them are. I kind of blocked them out of my mind. But you know what I mean? Like
they're all the same. It's always AP.
It's true. It's just it's just the same thing every time. But there's none of that. Like I feel like that's fine, to be honest. Like people kind of dip in, do their thing, and then kind of dip out and play other games. But I think that's kind of what's happening.
So that's definitely a subject that I'm going to bring up because I actually am going to disagree, I think, in a big way with the way that MMOs, especially World of Warcraft, is going. And to sort of touch on what you said, I want to hear what Touchpad has to say, and then I'll mention what I was going to say.
About like the state of the expansion?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is a really good expansion. Like I've thoroughly enjoyed my time playing it. And it's been a while since I've just like been able to log in a game and do any aspect of it and feel like I can take on that content without a huge ahead of time grind in doing such. So that's been really relieving. On the other aspect of things, I'm the mount collecting guy. There's not really a lot of mount collecting to do. So I can kind of like shit of luck there, but I've been able to actually focus on doing more Mythic Plus. I've been pugging raid. I even joined like a raid group, I think, for first tier. It's been enjoyable, but I just have other focuses on playing Diablo because for the first time, as we're going to go into that conversation, I feel like I'm kind of cut up.
It's a bit of a weird one, right? And I think about this. I always try and think about things from a non-full-time content creator point of view because I think that that's completely unfair, right? I mean, most of us watch Hasman, and you'll see him say some stuff sometimes. I love the guy to death, but it's very much from a I can stream 900 hours a week point of view, right? So not even thinking about it from that perspective, I personally don't like the direction the game is going in. I remember I interviewed Ian before the last expansion, and I said, so there's no grind coming up. And he said, nope, there's absolutely no grind. Now, that didn't really turn out to be true with Shadowlands. There was a bit of a grind with getting, certain renowns and stuff like that. But in this expansion, it truly is in a place where you can log on for a couple of hours a week and you're done. Right? You can raid log and you're not really missing out on anything. Now, look, that's great for a lot of people. And I think the issue is this is what a large portion of the vocal minority push for with WoW, right? Over the last couple of years. A lot of people are like, we want it to be more like Final Fantasy. I want to be able to log in, get the stuff done that I can, then play other games. My issue with that is, and this is where I'd love to hear your input, my issue with that is, what about the people that don't want to play other games? What about the people that want to play World of Warcraft every day and enjoy playing World of Warcraft every day? Right? Even now, I just didn't play WoW for a week, and I logged on to WoW, and I was like, bro, what the hell do I do? I could do a key, but that's it. I'm like, I'm bored, and I've been online for 20 minutes, and I've been offline for a week. So
yeah. So you feel like there's an element of missing that you can have at least something to work towards to every single day, right?
Yeah, I feel like, so again, I'm really trying to hone in that I'm trying not to think of this from a full-time content creator point of view. But even before I started streaming full-time, I would love there for me to be something to log on, and even if it's a 0.001% increase a day, but I feel like my character is progressing every time that I'm playing, right? I feel like we're really missing that. I personally wish, and I'll say it, I know it's controversial, I wish there was some kind of grind.
Are you talking power grind, by the way? Are you talking like something that's increasing your item level or your player power? Or what is it that you're talking about grinding specifically? Like reputations or mounts or like...
I personally, I like power. I like there to be some sort... And I know this is very against what we sort of work for. But I like there to be some sort of power. Man, I miss Islands. I'll say it. I think Islands was sick. I think Islands was sick. I think the big misconception there is people, and this will be a subject that we'll talk about a lot over the next couple months. I think one of the biggest problems with World of Warcraft is the bigger streaming gets and the bigger YouTube gets and the world first race and all those things. Someone will watch Max and they'll watch Gingy and they'll watch them do islands 18 hours a day and they'll convince themselves that their guild that clears Mythic after 6 months, their GM will watch it and go, you guys need to be farming islands as much as that, which is completely untrue, right? They'll go, oh, I need to grind and I need to have my artifact weapon max within the first week. Completely untrue. By the time they're on bosses, by the time they're doing progression on high-end bosses, it's nerfed to hell anyway, and they probably could be doing islands, a couple of hours a week and they'd be more than fine. I think the problem with that type of stuff is people watch these larger streams and they really convince themselves that that's what they have to do.
Yeah. So I think it's like the leading the pack thing ends up being the only negative aspect of having some kind of continuous grind.
I don't know if it's the only negative aspect, right? It just depends on what the grind is, right? I think you can push for Raider IO score, but in reality, sorry, Sai, who gives a crap? No one cares. Right?
No, bro, who cares?
I've watched you.
Content.
I've watched you as pretty much the rank 1 feral in the world, one of the top ferals in the world for M+. I've watched you on your stream get denied from keys for hours. And you have a very high Raider IO score. Right? He's gone. For anyone listening, he's laying down now on the couch. But I've watched it myself. I watched you get denied from keys because even though you know how to play the class, right? Even though you know how to play well, people will, again, they'll watch a large streamer and they'll think, okay, I don't know what the meta is right now, but they'll go, I need an outlaw rogue, Mistweaver monk, whatever is meta right now, and that's what I need to complete my weekly 16. And you're like, well, you don't. So...
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, sorry, I should ask a question. How do you think we counter this? How do you think what do you think the fix to this is?
I don't think there is one. You can't control human behavior, unfortunately. And I think it's getting worse and worse. Kind of, you can get into a whole subject about like people parroting streamers' opinions and stuff, especially World First Raiders. Like they'll see, going back to like pugging Mythic Plus, for example, like you'll see like a big, World First Raider say, oh, this class is bad or this class needs fixing. And then they'll just parrot that opinion and they won't invite people. Like, let's say they say, oh, like Shadow Priests are bad in their plus 30s or whatever, right? And then like, Joe Blogs won't invite, a Shadow Priest to his +5 because he heard someone say that, like that's something that happens, and unfortunately you can't control that. But I'm sure that, I don't watch a ton of like world first streamers, but I'm sure they reiterate that like this is world first stuff, and I'm sure people don't listen.
See what's interesting is like a lot of the guys up at the top, they'll just say, hey, it doesn't matter. And it's select individuals. It's like people that I think are like near the top a lot of the time that say like, oh, you have to play the best. And it's people that are hunting to be the best that are like, oh, you have to play the best. But a lot of the people up at the top are just like, play what you enjoy. I get people that come in and ask like, oh, hey, what do you think about doing this, this very specific rotation with Feral? And I'm like, yeah, if you're Gingy or Maystine and you're in the MDI and you're trying to you're trying to suck every little bit of juice out of it, go for it. But you really like, there's other things that you're like failing on that could improve you a lot more. And I think it is a big thing with like streaming. Like everyone, it's like when a new game comes out, everyone and their grandma wants to play it and like, be the best at it because then they can make, then they can be on 10,000 viewers and, they can be a big time streamer. So everyone wants to like push to be the best. So I don't know that there's like a fix for it generally. I just think gaming's very competitive these days. Now I think that's fine in World of Warcraft. But it depends on how the developers want to look at the game in terms of, do they want it to be a competitive esport kind of thing? Or do they want it to be an MMORPG? Because like, I don't look at WoW as an MMORPG. I look at it as a seasonal number go big game. if I want to play an MMORPG, I go play Final Fantasy and I AFK in like Limsa Laminsa, and people they're all dressed up as little cat girls, you know, and they start playing music, and I'm like, yo, I know this song.
If I hear one more cat song, I'm done. If I hear one more, I can't stand it. No, not for me. And then chat maybe turn into what's the little thing, the little people.
Lalafell.
Oh, I don't even want to log in any. Yeah, who knows? So what do you think, Touchpad? What do you think is the quote unquote fix, or is there one, or what do we do to try and counter this? Because I think it's ruining a lot of people's experience, right? Like no one wants to sit there, and, try and join a queue for 3 hours and then get denied for a 5 key when they're 430 eye level.
Well, I think it's almost trying to champion better behavior from the community and from the content that people are consuming, right? So as you're saying, like people are watching the top tier players do this kind of stuff. Depending on how they carry themselves, that kind of effort keeps carrying through to the player base, echoing back. So I think there's kind of a combo between like what Dan and I both just said. It's like, first off, WoW's a very competitive game. It should be more like an MMO where you don't have to worry too much about like hitting that extra 1% decimal on your damage output, performance, healing, or what kind of threat generation you have. Sorry, tanks. I don't really know too much anymore about tanking. But like how
I don't think there's much to it anymore, is there? I think you just press AoE abilities and you hold aggro.
Even if
you don't even need a healer.
Even if you were capped at like, let's say 10 activities a day would give you your 1% damage creep increase, and you split up those activities to being like one being island expeditions, like you can do that. Like they can just spam that, or you could do 5 world quests or 3 dailies. It wouldn't matter. Like it would still bore the crap out of everybody over time. And then in the dynamic of like trying to get people invited to group, people are coming in to my stream and asking me how to play an Arms Warrior and if it's good in PvE. I'm like, dude, I'm playing on a touchpad keyboard drunk at 3 a.m. Like I got Keystone Hero week 2. You can do it too. It's fine. I guarantee it. You don't have to play the meta. If you really want to try yourself to be a strong character in that game and perform really well in those guilds, then there are dynamics. And you shouldn't fucking be asking here because I will not give you any good information.
I think the short term fix is, and to touch on what you just said, see what it did there, touchpad. I think one of the most important things I tell people all the time, and it sounds really harsh when I say it sounds quite blunt, right? I say, look, if you're coming into a stream and asking what class is the best class, you do not play at a level where it matters. That's the simple truth, right? If you're going into Gingy's stream even, and asking him 3 weeks after World First Race has started, hey, what should I play, or what's going to make me the strongest? Doesn't matter, bro. It literally doesn't matter, because you're going to be playing, by the time you level up, gear up, learn how to play it. And another thing I hear a lot of those guys say is it's better to play a class that you're comfortable with well, rather than playing a class you don't know how to play horribly, right? If you can play, Ret's good now, but let's say throughout history, if you can play Ret well, you're probably going to do better at playing Ret well than playing a Feral Druid horribly. Hypothetically, if Feral Druid was meta. I was going to use Arms as an example, but Arms is so easy to play always. So it's just there was no point me saying it because it's so easy.
A touchpad or something.
Yeah, I know a guy who plays drunk at 3 a.m. on a touchpad.
It's 38 keybinds. Just smack the keyboard. You're good to go.
Yeah, true. That's it. On saying that though, sorry, back to the original point. I think with the grind of MMOs, sorry, we got sort of off on a tangent then, but I think with the grind of MMOs, I think I worry, and I'll say this very carefully, right now how easy it is to level, how easy it is to gear, right? And then there's the new thing coming, Mr. GM, about how you can get like gear given to you straight away. What was that thing? I think
the return thing. Yeah. That's only at level 60. Don't worry.
Okay, but if you get to level 60...
Well, you could get at any level up to 60. So basically, if you haven't logged into a character within 60 days, you can get free gear and bags.
Yeah, right. Do you know what eye level it is?
10 level. Not very good. I think it's like 10 to... It's only like leveling characters, so it's not max level.
Like questing gear.
Which
is just to help people hit
the
ground running without having to worry about...
Yeah, if you got like an old ult or something...
Okay, so it's not max level, just to be very clear.
No, it's all right, yeah.
They already kind of had a system in place with that now. Like, it's basically just like if you boosted a character, that's the quest line you would get. It's like, here's how you play your class. When you haven't logged into a character in a while, then it just like gives you a scenario, right, Dan? So you do that scenario, you get bags and you get gear.
He doesn't play
No?
retail. He plays BTR. Okay.
They used to do the boosted trial character thing, but they got rid of it.
Oh, okay.
So now they just start in the where the training dummies are. That's it. They got rid of that.
See, my problem with this is right now. Okay, so there's no grind, right? There's no grind in the game, and I think we're all pretty fair in saying that, right? And again, just to not to stick up for Blizzard, but I think that this is what most people have asked for. Right? The vocal minority have asked the game to be the way that it is right now, right? There's no grind. Gearing is insanely easy. You can be 400 eye level in an hour, right? And then to start gearing from that point, you can do looking for raid now and upgrade your looking for raid gear to what? I don't even know, like 415, 420 eye level?
415, something like that. Something like that.
It's wild, right? And you can do all this stuff and you can do this stuff in a very short amount of time, right? My problem is right now there's no grind that we need to do. There's no power tied behind any of the grind, and again, it's what people ask for. How many more steps would it take for WoW to start honestly feeling a bit like how mobile games are now? Where you log on, you press a button, it runs you to the quest, finish the quest, you go on to the next one, and you just get power from doing that. Because it feels like, for me right now, with having nothing to do when I log on, outside of doing, I can do a weekly key. So let's be realistic about it right now, right? I could raid log, I could do a weekly key, and I could be done with the game.
So let me ask you a question. I mean, I guess having like you say, logging in after a week and having nothing to do, that's obviously not great. Like there should be, at least weekly activities that you're working towards based on, dependent on your interests and stuff, right? But is it so bad if you don't stay logged into WoW, like, say 5-6 hours a day? Is it okay? Like, because for me, I'm actually pretty cool with that. Like, okay, I've got some stuff done. I can go play other games now, and I don't feel bad. I don't feel like I'm behind or missing out necessarily. Like, isn't that because in my head that's like a healthier way to approach the game and gaming in general? So I'm like, but you still want something to do.
That's where I agree with it. When I first started the point of this, I agree that there is a lot of points where it got unhealthy. Right? There is a lot of points where it got unhealthy. We can go back and look at like the AP grind for weapons and stuff like that. But again, a lot of people didn't need to grind like they had to. Or they think they had to, sorry. You could have grinded that relatively casual and still been clearing Mythic within a month or two, right? Or 2 months or 3 months, right? The problem that I have, and this is what I mentioned at the start, and I'd love to hear the other guys' input on this, is right now, like, what about if you're not the type of person that wants to play other games? And I think that's where the game is lacking right now. For the people, because there's going to be, I almost said millions, but there might, maybe not these days, but there's going to be X amount of people, hundreds of thousands of people that don't want to play Diablo, that don't want to play Counter-Strike, don't want to play Dota, don't want to play LoL. They enjoy World of Warcraft, and that's what they do with all their spare time that they do have, right? Even if they're a 9-to-5 parent and all those types of things, that may be their game that they enjoy, right? So, and if they want to work on their character, say they've got enough achievements, they've done all the pet battles, they've done everything that they can do, it's like side stuff, and they want to log on and make their character feel a little bit more powerful these days, I think we're lacking options for that, right? Because you can get geared from M+ so quickly now, upgrade the gear.
So
I think I have a dog in this fight.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah.
So I don't Mythic Plus, I don't raid, right? Well, I mean, I got boosted and ahead of the curve, but that's a whole thing. But anyway, I have a Mythic Plus.
Tweeting
I
about
normally
it
do
right
at the
now.
end of the season and get KSM. Yeah. No, someone. Anyway, so I actually have kind of run out of things to do in WoW. So I geared from my gear is all right. Like I got it from like the Zeralac Cavern, the underground zone, and did a little bit of what else have I done? Like the weekly activities and stuff like that. But I kind of completed all the meta achievements for that zone. I completed all of the achievements out on the Dragon Isles, or at least the ones that are easier. Some of them are like stupidly annoying, so I just didn't do them or have been trying to do them. But essentially, I log into retail and I'm like, I literally have nothing to do. Like I've got to a point now, from a very casual point, where I've gone, I'm going to go back and complete Battle for Azeroth because that's something to do. Like that's literally it for me. Like I don't know. I want to play loads of Dragonflight, but there's nothing for me to do. The Forbidden Reach was okay, but I found that like when we had 10-1 with Zeralak Cavern, it just felt like a really big Forbidden Reach. Like going and killing rares and stuff gets kind of redundant after a while.
Yeah.
And collecting all that stuff. I feel like they've been kind of repeating the same thing over and over, and I think a lot of people burnt themselves out. A lot of casual players burnt themselves out in the Forbidden Reach by killing rares non-stop, and then there was just more of the same in 10-1. 10-1-5 looks pretty good, especially from a casual point of view. There's a lot of content in there, but a lot of mounts as well. Yeah, it's weird. It is weird. And I tweeted, I think Sunday or something like that, about like what do people think of the patches and how fast they're coming out, because they're coming out super quick, right? But a lot of people, especially like PvE players, are like, well, there's not much for us. Or especially PvP people, they are very angry, so angry. But
we'll get to PvP later. Don't worry, we'll get to that.
But even like people who push keys and stuff, like there's not a ton of stuff for them to do outside of keys, I guess, unless they want to go and do the optional content. So yeah, I don't know. I guess the kind of feedback on that was like people said, yeah, it's really good, but it feels kind of hollow. These patches are not, massively full of stuff, especially for certain play styles. But yeah, I don't know. I just want to play loads of WoW, and I can't because there's nothing to do.
Yeah, and I think that's the essence of this problem, right? Sorry, Touchpad, you're going to say something.
No, you're fine. I was going to go into my aspect of it or opinion.
Yeah, love to hear.
Finish your statement. I think when it's understanding World of Warcraft. First off, we've all here been playing for a super long time, so some of those things that would be extracurricular activities, like going back and doing achievements for like, let's go see this raid, because like maybe somebody didn't play in Legion and didn't see Antorus. That's an extracurricular activity somebody new coming to the game can do today to fill up their time. So I think we all here have been playing the game for so long, some of those things we just don't have to do anymore. So are running out of content aspect. I think it goes into like, I would categorize as like 4 groups to be farmers, like that could be anything collection related, mounts, pets, achievements. PvPers, we're just going to grab all that all together because Battlegrounds, Arenas, and Rated Battlegrounds. Rating and Mythic Plus, I would actually have as 2 different categories. So if 3 out of 4 of those categories are failing and not having content that person enjoys that playstyle of playing World of Warcraft, that's where there's a failure. So in Mythic Plus, Keystone Hero was achieved by like top tier players, like I'm sure Sai got at week 1, right? Like doing like 20s plus. Then rating, like a lot of people cleared out the raid super fucking quick. For collection stuff, they ran out of collection things, even in Zarlight Caverns, within like 3 weeks.
Even the island, I think I got my ring and never went back. Yeah, I got so two rings, one for AoE, one for single target, and I was done.
And then PvP, people are so disinterested in PvP, as we're going to go on the conversation later tonight, but they're so disinterested, there's not enough people queuing for it. So we haven't just failed like 2 out of 4 categories. I feel like we've failed every category. There's not enough collection stuff there in the current patch, like just playing Dragonflight, and there's not enough Mythic Plus. The grind isn't hard enough, or like our power creep was too quickly. And
so I have a rebuttal, I guess, to that. And the rebuttal is a conversation that I had with someone, and he actually said something really intelligent, which is surprising if anyone knows Chad, aka Anything for Views. He's a long-time WoW player, and we were having this conversation a few months ago, and he made a really good point that I actually never really think about, right? We can touch on this later as well. MMORPGs, in my opinion, are a dying breed. Right? It's unfortunate. I've been an MMORPG player since I was a child. I started with like Lineage 1, Ragnarok, stuff like that, right? But Chad made a really good point, and I tend to agree with him. One of the biggest problems with World of Warcraft and MMORPGs in general that have been out for a while, World of Warcraft, Shadowlands trailer comes out. It's a phenomenal trailer. Right, it breaks sale records for games. Everyone was like, holy demon, Shadowlands has got to be the best thing since sliced bread. Turns out, maybe not, right? But even with saying that, right, the problem with MMORPG games these days, and again, I'd love to hear your opinion on this, is MMORPGs, and especially World of Warcraft, they don't really get new players. Sure, they might get a few, right? But all that really happens is they get returning players. And I think that's the hard part with MMORPGs, especially WoW these days, right? Is I would love to see the metric of how many new players and not like someone who played before buying a new account. I think you just really, at a new expansion, you're getting people that used to play coming back. You're not really getting you're not getting an influx of hundreds of thousands of new players, right? And a quick side note, like I speak at schools about cyberbullying and stuff like that quite often, right? As a part of streaming, I go and speak at high schools, and out of all the schools I've spoken to, I would say literally 5 kids total have ever come up to me and been like, "Oh, I play World of Warcraft." Out of quite a substantial amount of schools, right? It's always, "Oh, my dad played WoW," or sometimes like my mum played WoW, or something like that. Honestly, it's just never happens anymore, right? And you can understand why the sort of short, quick format of games these days, battle royales, is phenomenal, especially for school kids. You know, like you've got X amount of time to play after school. You drop in, everyone dies in your squad, you queue back up again, you're going straight back in, right? And I guess my question is do you guys agree that there's a lot of returning players versus new players? And I think the only IP that maybe will have a chance of competing with that is maybe the Riot IP, right?
Yeah. I definitely agree. Mm-hmm. It's just returning players. Like, I do have a few people that like find on social media, especially because like I worked social media on Instagram for like 8 years. TikTok's been newer. That's where there's actually new people like coming into the game. They always heard about it, and they're like, "I actually want to try out this game now." I'm like, "That's weird. You're an anomaly. That shouldn't make sense." Like, that I do, because it's not very common for somebody to be intrigued by a game that's 18 years old for them to want to get into it, because I feel like they're missing out on so much. Now, I think WoW's done a good job of making it so it's new player or user friendly, but the perspective of it is there's too much catch up because there's so much lore and history behind it that they feel like as a player they're going to have an uphill battle, which is, I don't think that's the case. I think there's a huge learning curve if you're getting into the game, but I think Blizzard does a good job nowadays with like, here you go, here's where you go, level up, do this thing. I think they do a good job of trying to guide the new player
again,
into
from the start of this conversation, don't get me wrong, WoW is in a phenomenal place right now. Right, I don't want anyone to get that twisted. I think as a new player, returning player, maybe not if you're someone like me who wants to play a lot and stuff like that, but for most aspects, especially the casual player, the game is great right now. It's in a phenomenal spot. Yeah,
I think we all said like WoW's in like a really good spot, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to speak negatively or anything like that.
No. I'm just clarifying for people that are listening in, right?
Oh, okay. I was like, wait. I was like, what? Yeah. So I think their attracted audience or their regular recruiting subs would just be from people returning to the game. Straight up.
See, I have a couple.
Okay.
If you actually go on Twitch right now and you look at the WoW section, like 9 out of every 10 streamers is a hardcore classic WoW streamer. And I wonder if that avenue of the game, if more people are looking to jump into like hardcore classic, because it's a lot more like understandable, manageable, and it's like competitive in a enjoyable kind of like ease of access way, right? You just level up, don't die. Okay, cool, let's go. And I wonder if a lot of people are trying to get involved in that more so than Dragonflight. And I agree with you, Touch, where you're saying like, a lot of people are probably overwhelmed with how much there is with, the history of WoW. Blizzard has recently tried to clean a little bit up of that, because from a story perspective, you're going through the different expansions and you're like, hold on, didn't I just kill this guy and now he's alive again? And wait, okay.
Why he killed this guy 4 times? What the hell?
Yeah, not even max level yet. So it is a bit disjointed. I mean, I do have a kind of a side note that I wanted to like jump back in from the previous conversation as well, and as a suggestion of what Blizzard could probably do to encourage more casual. I say casual content. I guess more easily jump into able content. So basically, I think that they should. They've got like the Mythic Plus like LFG thing for and for raid and stuff. They've got the LFG dungeon tool. I think they need to just put like island expeditions and Torghast and all that stuff on a queuable system, and then you can have an ease of access. Like it's right now, if you want to go and do island expeditions, which are actually really fun.
Yep.
And you get a lot of collectibles and you get the doubloons and you go buy the box and stuff. It's actually really fun.
And you buy the one that makes you have increased power and you just feel like a god when you pull the whole island.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Like, islands are actually
I ran
really
out of
fun.
content for islands. I got everything from it. So.
You don't count, okay. Right? You got 950 mounts, all right?
But like they could add more to islands, and they could like right now, if you want to go do it, you have to go and unlock Borealis or Dazar lore, like whatever the zone is, Zaldazar, and you have to go unlock it, and you have to go through a bunch of story steps that you don't even know as a new player. I didn't even know how to do it. I had to unlock it on one of my characters. I don't know how to get back to island expeditions. I want to do them. You have to go through all of that to then unlock it, and it's just like this random piece of the game that had a lot of development time on it and is really actually enjoyable, and you just can't find it unless you already know it's there. So if they put that kind of stuff on the LFG tool, and Torghast as well, you can make Torghast a bit more enjoyable.
I'm going to say it. Ready for this? I miss doing Torghast. Yeah. I said it. I miss it. I miss doing it. I think the initial... Sorry, this is real. Touchpad has left the podcast. I'll be real quick because I still want you to finish what you were saying. I think the initial beta that we got of Torghast was really fun, where it was unlimited amount of levels and your powers could stack as much as you want. Now, I understand there's probably some coding behind why they had to take that away, right? When every player is hitting for like 55 billion, probably going to crash the server, right? But I genuinely, when I thought there was going to be like a leaderboard, when I thought there was going to be like all these things that we thought was going to happen, I thought Torghast could have been sick. But unfortunately, it was not.
Well, there's multiple pieces of content, right? I'll finish that bit up, but there's multiple pieces of content which could be really good. Like you make Torghast and you make it kind of like a Diablo Rift where you're scaling a bunch and actually just slamming through mobs. That's what people want to do. And you can go and watch the MDI and you go, oh man, I want to do that. That looks so fun, pulling a bunch of mobs and slamming them down. Well, you could do that with Torghast and people can go and do it solo. Like great, do island expeditions, put dragon racing on there and put a leaderboard in, dragon riding. When I did a sponsored event for that, that was some of the most fun I've had in WoW history, was dragon riding. To min-max it and how competitive it was and the little tricks that you could do, it was so fun and I really enjoyed it. And you felt really good because you were going if you could make yourself go really quickly, it was actually so good. And I'm really excited, Mr. GM, I got to check out your videos on Dragon Riding Kalimdor. They should do stuff with that. Like put it on the LFG and put a leaderboard in and ease of access, jumping into it. Yep. It's just really kind of fun,
slight competitive thing that's not like you're not
going to even if it reset every
Dragon
week
Riding
reset.
IO.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just something fun. I think it's hard, right? Because I understand why they've taken away a lot of stuff like that, why they don't do leaderboards, right? Because I'm sure if you don't know, I'm sure most of us already know, the reason why they don't do those types of things anymore in game is they don't want people to feel bad that they're not playing at that level, right? And there's a big push these days on people just being, like, for example, I'll give you a good example. Maybe someone is an able gamer, right? And they really want to be able to do dragon flying at the same time that other people can, but maybe they for whatever reason they can only get bronze, right? And when they really try, right, and they're not, it's not for their fault or anything like that. Maybe they play on a touchpad, and they can't manage to get golds or anything like that, right? So that's one of the big reasons why they don't put in leaderboards or anything, and I understand that to an extent. But I feel like a leaderboard, if they reset it every week, right, or they just make it something fun where there's no, even if there's no reward, I can spend an hour tonight trying to be top 10 on the leaderboard for flying. That's fun. It's just fun. I don't get a reward. I know that. There's no anything tied to it. There's no title. There's no anything. Just fun. So I don't know.
I'm kind of done with it. Like, that's the problem, right? I've got my advance and reverse and all that kind of stuff. I got whatever gold, and I'm done with it. I think with leaderboards and stuff, it kind of makes it endless content.
There's one of those things too for dragon riding. You can actually like queue up against other people. Like you can do that now, but you have to physically fly to that location, and it's on a rotation. It's one per
no one
zone
does that
per day.
I've tried. I haven't gotten a single queue.
It's so
no
chaotic.
one.
Like I think the only time we did it was we were waiting for our 5th for Mythic Plus. It was like, hey, let's go over here and do it, and it was fun as hell. We thoroughly enjoyed the shit out of it, and we're all like bantering and like fucking around with each other. It was super fun. So why not just have a queuing system for it?
Yeah, put it on a queuing system and just put a small reward on it.
Yeah.
If you do one queue a day, right? Kind of like, Final Fantasy is a really good system where I think I don't know if it's daily stuff or if it's weekly or a combination of both. but you have like a list of various activities you can do. You can go back and you get rewards for doing like old dungeons and stuff like that. And there are people who are sprouts who are like first time players and stuff.
Hello.
And you can go and do, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, level 70 on every class though, because I paid to win. Thanks, Final Fantasy community. They loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I bet you were loved.
Yeah. Skip the story.
You know, give people a few like, you know, okay, so on the queue finder, there's a dragon riding race, there's an island expedition, there's a normal or heroic dungeon or something, or a mythic zero or something like that. And you get a reward for each one, and if you do a bunch of activities, then you get a bonus objective reward, right? And maybe it's a chest that has a mount in or some flasks or like whatever. I don't care what the reward is.
Yep.
Just put some stuff into it.
Remember those boxes you'd have like if you queued as a tank or a healer for LFG? Just add shit like that. Like you have a chance of getting invincible from doing dragon riding stuff as a queue. Here's some gold.
Chance of invincible. That's a bit of a leap. That went from like flowers and a flask to invincible real quick.
Invincible by now, I don't know what you're doing. Right?
I've tried 4 times and I just don't care because the mount is ugly.
Times.
It's so ugly.
No, it's not. You've tried to sit there at the auction house on different servers, multiple characters.
No, I haven't. I tried once. Just one time.
Well, that was a heavy thing for me. All right, I sat there. That was pain to watch it.
Ugly mount.
Just go run the raid.
I'm busy. You can't climb the chain anymore. No, that was Black Temple. It was a demon hunter. That was the best. God, what the hell were we talking about? I got sidetracked because Invincible's so ugly. It ruined my train of thought.
Well, I was going to say, just put like best in slot mythic trinkets from the raid in these chests, if you're doing an island expedition. Easy. Yeah. No, but that's something where you've got a daily goal. You've got a daily reason to log in. But if you don't do it that day, you're not behind. But there's a reason to log in. It gets you doing a range of different activities. There's just so much content in WoW that's just sitting there that gets just removed. I mean, even if Ian even said in an interview, like, oh, we put all this development time into the system and then we replace it next expansion, next patch, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, just use it.
One thing I've said for a very long time, and I play a lot of Asian-based MMOs, right? I've always tried to play most MMOs that come out, right? And I think a good example is God, what the hell was that I played? Chat, what was the game that I played with Kun Kun? Sorry, I try and ignore chat, but they'll know exactly which game I'm talking about. We'll do a Q&A at the end, by the way, if you're not listening, or if you don't know, last 15 minutes we do a Q&A with chat. But there was a game that I played, which was a Korean-based MMO that got re-released in the Western world, and it was phenomenal. And one of the big things that...
What does it?
No. No, it'll come to me soon. But one of the big things with that is the game itself had so many mini games. Like you could use Lost Ark as an example as well, right? Arcade was the game I was talking about. Arcade had many little side games you can play, and it's such a popular thing in the Asian-based MMOs. And I think WoW really misses that. Sure, we've got Dark Moon Fair, right? But Dark Moon Fair is boring as bad shit, right? We can all agree. You've done the games 1,000 times. You don't really need to do it again, right? But even Arcade, for example, they had like a car racing thing. So random, but it was fun as hell, right? There was always people doing it. There was always people doing these things. And they had little fun events. Lost Ark, they had the little islands that people could go and play the little games and everything like that. And I feel like WoW, unfortunately, really misses out on that point, where they don't have a lot of like mini game content you can do, or they don't add enough minigame content, which I think I would assume they have the resources to do and add it in. And I think that's something that they maybe do lack on.
I got it. I found the solution.
Okay.
So this is what we do. We add a Paragon board like we have in Diablo. But you get the Paragon from doing the minigames in World of Warcraft.
Okay.
So you get one strength.
Reward? Or one
strength, one primary stat, yeah.
Okay.
10 critical strike rating.
7.5%
which path you want.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just have to like slowly do these mini games, go around. You can do island expeditions that day. You can do your dragon riding. Boom, you got one strength.
Okay.
Problem solved.
I really like
go down very well. No, THD will exhaust that very quickly. He'll get a lot of strength on his warlock in no time. Sorry, Mr. GM, what were you saying? Dan,
I really like your idea. I think it's good. I think you're right. They do have a load of content, which is really cool and fun, and they just remove it every single time. And it must be kind of weird for the developers, to be honest. It must be pretty annoying. Are
you surprised Torghast didn't go on,
like
Mr. Jam? Are you surprised they didn't carry Torghast over?
I think they kind of tried to continue to do things like that. Like they had the Cobalt assembly thing with the powers there. The new time rift system is using the powers again. So I guess kind of the development that went into that is being reused elsewhere. But no, I don't. I think like the best part of Torghast for me was the boss rush mode that they added at the end. I think it was the Jailer's Gauntlet. That was sick. That would have been cool to continue. Even if they did like a Dragonfly version of Torghast, that would have been kind of cool as well, just as like a side hustle. Would have been cool, like a Dragon Tower where you do a lot of boss rushes and whatnot. I thought it was kind of fun, especially in like the higher levels, just kind of to push your character and whatnot. And I think it was all cosmetic rewards anyway, right? Apart from God, what was it? Soul Ash and Soul Cinders. God, yeah, there was a mount. Yeah.
Titles and amounts and
you know that. Oh, sorry.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna jump on that point and just quickly say, I agree. I think what the issue with Torghast was that you're in the Maw and it was this dark, deep, dingy place, and then you go into Torghast and it's all the same architecture and same mob types. If you did something more like the Mythic Plus Dungeon Gambit, whatever it was, Gambit in Shadowlands. That was really a really fun dungeon, right? Because it was
the market one
scenery
where you play the drum and stuff. Yeah.
Well, Tazavesh Gambit, I think it was called.
Gambit was like
the one where you're on the beach.
It was
You go inside and you do the Murloc area on the beach, and then you go inside and there's some Titan architecture, and you do that briefly, and then you're back on a beach, but it's a different beach. It's Siege of Borealis, and you're fighting a dragon, and then you jump to a different area, and then you're back in the market, and you're fighting this alien thing, and for me, mentally, doing that was so fun, and the dungeon felt so quick because it was a change of scenery and pace and stuff every time. If you do that with Torghast, so you design a boss rush in Torghast, and it can be a bunch of bosses from WoW's history, but like tuned down or whatever, made for a solo player thing, and put it in a Torghast-like system, but with different architecture, and you get transported to different areas of the game and throughout WoW's history and stuff. That would be so good. So you just take what you've done with Torghast and just make it like more pleasurable.
Well, to touch on that, I'm genuinely surprised they didn't continue on with Torghast, right? I think that even Blizzard has said one of the big problems that they have is they'll bring out some new system or they'll bring out something new to the game, say it's Mage Tower, right? And there'll be a lot of pushback, right? They'll get an insane amount of pushback being like, we hate this, the Torghast speaks for itself. A lot of people rip Torghast apart. And they'll sort of just go, okay, no one likes it, that's it. Right, Warfronts is probably a good example. Just popped in my head, right? Yep. Warfronts were fucking horrible, right? It was embarrassing. Warfronts is one of the big key parts of the expansion, and that was meant to be the thing. It was meant to be one of the key parts, right? And I'm usually a person that sticks up for WoW. I try not to rip on it too much or anything like that, and I really try and carry that because I think even Shadowlands in its poorest state, in the worst patch of Shadowlands, worst state that it ever was, unfortunately, shits on every single MMO game that's existing in the world right now, right? Including Final Fantasy. If you like a story-based MMO, sure, right? Sure, maybe from a raid music standpoint and stuff like that, sure, you could argue that Final Fantasy is definitely better in that regard. But I think that even WoW in its worst patch, at its worst time during Shadowlands, and I'm using that as the bad expansion, I still think is still better than every other MMO. And I don't think that's a good thing. I think it's a bad thing, right? But it's unfortunate that they get these amazing systems. Torghast could have been amazing, right? But moving forward, like you said, they haven't done anything with it. They're just going to go, okay, we tried it. It didn't work. Everyone pushed back. That's it. Maybe in 4 expansions from now, we'll do something, right? Warfronts. I said this when it first came out. Do you know what I think Warfront should have been? And I don't know how you put it into the game, but I think Warfront should have been pressed Q and we went into a game of Heroes of the Storm.
That's what it looked like in the advert originally. Yeah. Remember?
But we do it like Smite, right? So you're behind your character. There's 3 towers and you're playing behind your character, or even a normal game of Heroes of the Storm. Do you know how much I would play that in game? Just if I was bored.
Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, it just like you queue in, it opens up Heroes, and you just play in game. Do you know how many people would do it? It'd be fun. I think it'd be a fun. That's what I'm saying. I think that's what they missed. They missed these little mini games.
Do you want to play Heroes of the Storm, or do you?
Absolutely not. I'd be playing WoW.
Okay.
Technically playing Heroes of the Storm, but in WoW because I want to have friends.
So you tell your friends, hey, do you want to do Warfronts in World of Warcraft?
Exactly.
The Storm. They're okay. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, just queue in. You're like, what is this downloading?
It's a big patch.
Updating? What?
But I just think, yeah, I mean, Warfronts, for example, look, I don't know how it would have worked, but it would have been, once they gave up on the idea, make some sort of system where it's like Smite, where we're running behind our character. It's the same sort of idea. You have to kill, like, say it's exactly the same as Smite. You have to kill the 3 towers, like in League, or 2 towers, kill a base. It would have been fun. I don't know how plausible this actually is to do. I don't know if it's like a realistic thing to actually put into the game. I don't know. It seemed like a lot of wasted resources. And even now, talking about Dragonflight, it sort of feels the same now with, as you said, Mr. GM, when you look at the islands, right? Like the not the newest one, the underground one, whatever the other island was. And I went in there for, God, I don't know, a week. And I was like, okay, I don't really need anything from here. I don't care about the pets that I can get. I don't care about the 100,000 mount. You know what I mean? That doesn't fly anyway. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, have another drink.
The audacity.
But I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think is the fix with this sort of stuff?
Anybody want to go first?
The fix with what? With the systems, or what do you mean? Fix to what?
Do you think there's a way around what we're seeing now? To go back to the original conversation of this, do you think, because we've sort of touched on a few subjects, do you think there's a way to make it so there's a balance of where people can log into the game and not need to feel like there's nothing to do? Or do you think the game is just, that's where it's going to be at from now on? Right? And again, I think the vocal minority, this is what a lot of people have asked for. I think that if the game is in a place where, okay, I just want to log on, do the few things I need to do for the week, do my 2 dailies or 3 dailies for the underground rep, and then log off and play, I don't know, Diablo for the next week. But let's have this conversation pre-Diablo, because it sort of doesn't count anymore, because now we have other things that we want to play. Do you think there's a way they can fix this? I guess to round this question off.
I do have something I can say about that. I think they're trying to find the medium. I think there's, like, we experienced an extreme and now on both ends. Where before it was just AP grind, that was the extreme of that. And now we're seeing more casual, like, hey, you don't have to be logged in every day, extreme of those. So I think it's just Blizzard trying to meet the fine point between the two and getting gauged perspective from the community on how they feel about now both aspects. That's where I feel like it's going towards. So I think that, like, they can now start to gauge that we've had this more casual version of it, or like expedited or easier to log out of, or missing out of FOMO, no more FOMO aspect, and trying to find the gauge between the two. I think there's a fix. I think they have to try to balance it, and now they get to see both sides and actually get real player feedback from doing such, instead of just saying, we're tired of FOMO stuff, stop doing this, Blizzard, how dare you? Like, now we have that. So gauging player experience, and then they can make that call from there if they want to have more power creep type systems.
Did either of you boys want to add anything? Otherwise, we can jump into the next subject.
I think you hit the nail on the head, to be honest.
Touchpad's at the right drink level. Usually he doesn't say much. Right? Maybe don't have another drink. Just to stay at this level.
Tonight.
I literally watched you pour a drink twice.
It was part of the setup. It was part of the setup. I just want to look.
Is that an old fashioned, by the way?
It is. It is.
That's an outstanding drink. Touchpad, we got a lot to. If you're going to BlizzCon, I need to share one of those with you, sir.
You got it, buddy.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. I think Blizzard's trying to fine tune. I think they're always trying to fine tune, right? Like, but I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say something controversial, but number going up is the only thing I really see like enjoyment from in the game, and even then, I don't really like it because I'm reliant on other people. I actually hate having to having to pug and stuff like that. Like, I hate it. That's why I've been enjoying Diablo, because I can just do stuff on my own and I don't have to trust that, like, I actually have a friend who wants to play, because, bro, there's no friends in this game. But then at the same time, I look at it and I'm like, I already have like 500 mounts, and they bring out a new one. And I'm just like, I have mount fatigue. I have pet fatigue. I'm just fatigued from.
There's at least 450 mounts more that you can obtain right now. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you can see all the guides for. I'm just kidding.
It's just like, I'm just fatigued on it. Like, another one comes out and I'm just like, I already have so many. Like, I loved mount collecting in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because there were 10 mounts, and it was like, oh, I want to get all of the lightsabers from the vendor, and then like there'd
or
be
just like getting the one rare mount. Like
do you feel like you can't catch up?
The Baron Rivendare or something, right?
Yeah.
I'm just fatigued though, on all that kind of stuff.
Just to touch on that, do you think it also is off-putting because you feel like you can't catch up? That's where I'm sort of at. Like I've got like I think close to 30,000 achievements, and I don't push achievements, right? I just have been playing for a long time, and I've got I think like close to probably 550, 600 mounts or something like that. And one of the reasons why I don't push for mounts is I'm just like, dude, I'm so far behind. Like I'm just so far behind the cap of where like the mount farmers are. And if that's where most people are at for playing the game for 15 years, I'm not going to spend the next 15 years trying to catch up. You know what I mean?
Well, I know a guy who does great YouTube videos on how to get the mounts. Actually, true. Loves an old fashioned.
Actually,
it's not hard. You kill the same mount again and again until it drops.
If anything, Mr. GM makes more videos on YouTube about how to like get a mount than I do.
It's true. I don't even have mounts. I just pretend.
He goes through.
Like, this is how you get the mount. I don't have the mount.
Goes to retail. Yeah.
That's actually
guys,
true.
I data mined this one. This is what it looks like, so I may as well have it.
Who knows? We need Dark Mech in here. Hey, I found this random Chinese WoW product. He tweets it out.
Dude, those products are killer.
Yeah, they're great, aren't they? All right, so I think we pretty much touched on that. Mr. Jim, did you have anything to add? I wasn't sure if I cut you off.
I'm good. That's what we got.
So we all decided that we were all going to try and bring like one subject this first time round, and then moving forward, we'll probably have those locked in place, and then we'll do the questions from social media as well. Does anyone want to go next with their subject if we haven't already touched on it?
We touched on it kind of briefly. It was more so like the power creep of not power creep, but how quickly you could get item level.
Okay.
In this tier. So
do you think it's bad?
I don't know. I'd like to get your guys' opinion on it because it doesn't. So like normally it would for my skill point. Right, let's go into that real quick and make sure this is stressed. My skill point, like I'd get Keystone Hero.
Hang on, I think that's a cop out. You're a good player, right? Yes, you play on a touchpad, but you're definitely capable of playing the game.
In 4 years, Panda. Hold on.
Yeah, I know. I'm feeling nice.
I'm trying to explain a dynamic here, right? So normally it would take me like I think my first Keystone Hero ever was last season, and it took me like I think a month and a half. Like that was it. I was like, sweet. I feel like I made like decent progress. I think I was like kind of ahead of the curve. Awesome. Like I was playing off meta, so it was like ranked 160 for Arms Warriors in the world. It's like, fuck yeah, there we go. Boom, easy done. It was done in week 2 for me and didn't feel nearly as much of a challenge. And I think part of the reason for that is because I was able to get to like a 430 item level, 435 item level on week 2.
I think though as well, you have to keep in mind that you have a pretty core group of people that you play with, and I think that's a huge advantage.
Surprisingly, I pugged most of my keys this season.
Okay. Because normally I see you play with the same.
He's flaming like, no, I couldn't get it with my friends. I had to ditch them to get. I had to pug. I couldn't
no, they all had their groups. I was left out. I was like, well, fuck, nobody's on this late. I guess I gotta just make it happen, Captain.
When you join a pug, you know, like people like, oh, you know, sorry, it's my first time. Did you say sorry? I'm on a touchpad. Is that?
I do actually. Yeah. So like, I'm an Arms Warrior, right? I don't provide lust. I don't have battle res. I don't provide a lot to the group. So I started like my sign in, like my queuing, like add a note. I'm like, I don't have lust or battle res, but I can Beyblade, which looks really cool. And that's been the best progress that I've had. And then I apologize. I'm like, hey, sorry guys, I'm a 31-year-old TikToker, so forgive me in case my performance is sad. So I go for comedic value.
So it's sort of on point to what you're just saying, but it's sort of off topic as well, but it's more on the last point that you just made. I remember probably last year, my brother and I still lived together, and we had like a setup next to each other, right? And I remember we did a random key off stream, and I was on like a character that had nothing to do with like stream name or anything like that. And we made the key ourselves, and this druid joined, and the druid was like, hey, how are you guys? How's your night going? And me and my brother looked at each other and was like, bro, what the hell is this person talking about? Don't talk to us and just do the key. Like, what's wrong with us what's wrong with us as WoW players these days?
Social and MMORPG. How dare they?
Don't talk to me. Just do the key and shut up. Like, what's wrong with us these days?
I have a rule where if I'm signing up a key and somebody messages me, like DMs me, like, "Hey man, I'm level. I'll pump, bro." Like, I don't care what the DM is. If I receive a DM from someone in queue, immediately they are not getting invited. You know,
No.
there's a certain
Jesus.
level of desperate. No, trust me. That all if they message you, there's a certain level of desperation, and you don't want it in your key. They're unpredictable.
Wait,
Clip it and ship it, chat.
couldn't
Holy
be viewed
demon.
glass half full, and that they have like the charisma and energy
No.
to like make it happen. They're ready for it. Like, oh, let me get it.
No,
No?
because they're always
Never?
like, I do this much DPS, and they give you a DPS number, and I'm like, okay,
Okay, well, that's
what does that
different. Yeah,
mean?
if they say the
like,
DPS
what
number, they do,
level,
that's
what
different.
week, what group comp, what pulls did you do? Like,
So what
What
if they instead whisper you
dungeon?
and say like they can Beyblade it? It looks really cool.
it depends. Are they on a touchpad? Because that's kind of my like. I want them on the touchpad. Are they?
When I
Are they on
first
it?
started raiding when I was like 13 for like Burning Crusade, I didn't tell them I played with a touchpad keyboard for like 4 years, like 3 or 4 years. I would get kicked, right?
They
My
just
voice
thought you
was
were
already
bad.
cracking like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, let him think I'm bad. It's fine. He's young. Oh, he's stupid. He probably has a mouse though. It's fine.
This kid's crazy. Oh, his mouse ran out of batteries.
Fuck.
He probably has a mouse. Nobody has ever thought that.
This guy's probably playing with a mouse. It's fine. Yeah, we can kick him.
So
He's,
it was-
sure.
My raid leader from Burning Crusade now also streams on Twitch, and like he found me again. He's like, "Hey, dude, how's it going?" I'm like, "You realize like we're getting old now. Like I was 13, I'm now 31. The numbers are switched. Dude, what the fuck's up? How you doing?"
That's
You
sick.
finally had to
That's
get,
sick.
tell him. So sorry, what was the subject we were
So-
on? Just then? We got way off topic.
Yeah, what was the question?
It was. Do you feel like the new system they currently have in place instead of being Valor? So with Valor was like you had a Valor cap, which first off, I don't think that ever felt great, like having a weekly Valor cap, or at least it should have been a little bit higher than what it was. But that's another conversation another time. I think the new system they integrated might have been expedited a little too quickly on how much item level you could obtain, which made it so you could do that content easier, quicker. And I think that's what added ultimately towards people having that time, like, you know what, I think I'm done for the week actually. Because normally by like a month after patch, you're still probably trying to push the average player, like push Keystone Master, Keystone Hero, 1800 Arena for like just the transmog set at least. And you're probably still like maybe halfway through Heroic Raid, or maybe 3 bosses into Mythic. But it seems like the rate at which we're able to defeat all those bosses and those encounters and get those goals has been way quicker. And I think it's because of the item level. I think we got the item level really quickly.
Do you feel like gearing is sort of feels quite redundant at the moment?
No, I felt like it felt too fast.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you get the eye level
Yeah.
so fast that it sort of feels redundant when you're at that level. You're just like, I got so geared so quickly. I'm not bored.
Like
but
week 5, I felt behind because everybody else already had Ashgander. I was like, well, crap. Like I'm already in the bin because I couldn't get like the one weapon or like this one trinket.
I got it
but
from my bank.
I at least was able
My
to
character I
Huh?
don't play.
Yeah, that's great. Enjoy.
Yeah,
your
so I just felt like telling you. So
Thanks.
sorry.
Appreciate you. No, but I do feel like it felt weird as being somebody that's on a casual perspective, but still trying to progress, like at least doing Mythic Plus, that I was able to get to a 440 item level by week 3-4. Like,
Yeah, and see that's again that goes back to my original point, right? It doesn't feel good. I don't want to like we have a guy in our guild, Deadly, right? His priest he just brought to normal. Right? He only brought his priest to normal for the community nights because we just needed a healer. He's the main healer in the just heroic group that we're doing. His priest is more geared than his main from doing 1 key a week and normal. And he was just lucky with rolls and stuff like that. And I think it's like 440. And he's like, dude, I don't even play this character. You know, so
and
it's
from my standpoint, like maybe I thought about finally this was the opportunity if Diablo 4 didn't come out, that I would play another class and try to see those things. But then I thought to myself, I was like, I don't know if I want to try to bother with doing Keystone Hero on a second character, or bother with having to do all these heroic bosses again on a second character.
Sai's lucky because he plays a druid. He can literally go,
Virus.
okay, I'm going to play every spec to Keystone Master as a druid.
That's what I
Yeah, we'll
did.
split
Well, I
from.
mean, last season I got 3K or above 3K on every single druid spec, and that was actually really fun. Like that's to anyone in chat, like that's a fun challenge. You should do that kind of stuff if you got time. You learn a lot as
On
well.
it.
It's really fun.
I had it as a sub goal, and chat never hit the sub goal.
Oh,
Thank
Yeah,
God for
boo,
that.
sub goal.
But no, I say all the time, off note thing, I say all the time, if you are starting to play World of Warcraft, I suggest a druid. They can do everything in the game
I say the same thing.
relatively well, and yeah, you'd be fine for all.
Yeah, every
content.
role.
Yeah, very, very, very good class. And they're cool, but Transmog's going to suck.
Anyways, do you guys feel
think,
like at all that it was leveling too quick or gearing up too quick?
would it not be accounted for like the myth, because could probably talk more about this, but like changes to Mythic Plus in season 2 with the affixes, do you think that accounted for getting Keystone Hero pretty quick along with the gear system as well?
Yeah, because Mythic Plus got one less affix, the loss of seasonal affix, right? So
Yep.
You good there, Dan?
Can I ask you?
Yeah,
can I ask you?
Hit my knee on my desk.
Can I ask you straight up,
Slow-mo.
Size? You're the big boy Keystone player out of the group. Do you think, and I want honesty, do you think that the no affix was extremely lazy?
What, as in not having a seasonal?
No seasonal affix.
I thought
Do you think? I'll word it like this. Do you think it's justified?
I don't know, because it's funny because the WoW player base is weird. Like, when seasonal affixes existed, a lot of people's issues were with a seasonal affix. And then as soon as the seasonal affix was going away, everyone suddenly had stories about how much they loved it, and like they had all this positive view of it. And I was like, guys, we literally were like, complaining about
Ask for this to go away. Yeah.
I think it depends. Like, for example, if I look at something like Awakened, which was the one where you got the mini bosses and then you get the portals to different, you could, go through the dungeon. That was really cool because it made doing Mythic Plus more interesting, and you kind of you could experiment with it, which is the really fun part about Mythic Plus. I also really love like Reaping, because it wasn't hard, but sometimes it could be a bit punishing if you messed it up. Reaping was obviously when every 20% trash kill, every mob that's died gets resummoned, and you have to kill them all.
I was going to say real quick,
it was so fun.
Yeah, I was going to say real quick, I think they just put Reaping every time. Anyone wants to see is big numbers. That's all you want to see.
Big number.
You just want to look at the big numbers on details and go, look how much better I am than every other person. Right? That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
If you just give us Reaping every time. Every time.
My spec didn't even have AoE, I think, when Reaping existed. And I still loved it. Like, I still got excited. You're like, oh, it's coming. And you just, like, you hit 20%, and you knew everything from the dungeon was coming.
You line of sight,
like
so they all crumble in. You go, I'm the man.
And then you just slam it. You'd hold cooldowns on trash because you knew Reaping was coming. And then you deplete the key, but you don't care because the number's big.
But look, I did 1 million damage in AoE, and they're like, that's not the point. Shut up!
Yeah, look at how much damage it did.
Shut up, healer!
Reaping? What are we doing? Like, it's tyrannical. I don't know. I mean, I think seasonal affixes could be really fun, and they're an avenue for them to like make something thematic based on the patch and the raid, and really tie the whole thing in together. So I do think it's sad that they've got rid of seasonal. Like, I think they should keep seasonal, because ultimately we've got affixes still in the game that have been there since Legion, and I genuinely think that affixes either need to change every single expansion, they need to completely scrap and reinvent, or they need to like maintain seasonals, but maybe replace some of the things that nobody likes. Like, nobody likes Spiteful hitting you for your whole health pool, and there's multiple of them that get spawned in melee, and there's mechanics that you have to dodge. You have to hit your kick, and you can't hit your kick because you have to run. Like, no one's enjoying this stuff. No one's enjoying like quaking on certain bosses where you have to stack up and then quaking hits, and then you just like no one's enjoying these things. So why not make like, I mean, this kind of leads into the question that I was going to ask later, but touching on it a little bit, I won't give it away too much, but like, how difficult should something like Mythic Plus be compared to how much fun should it be? And I know it's an esport, and I know it's competitive, and I know that like there's gear from it, so it has to be hard.
It's
but, like,
an
once you get above a 20, It's an
esport, yeah.
It's an esport that I used to cast for. I think like once you get above it, I think there's an interesting thing that they could do with something like Mythic Plus, where once you get above a plus 20, there's no reward that like matters, right? You don't get anything, you don't get any gear increase or anything like that. So why not experiment with affixes? Like, put an affix on 20 or higher, like 21 or higher, right? And that's where you can start experimenting with affixes and making Mythic Plus a little bit wacky once you get above that, because it doesn't.
Well, it brings an element of randomness, right? So it takes away from the monotonous. If you're doing, 20 keys a day, 20 keys a week, right? It sort of breaks away from that.
Yeah, but like maybe, I mean, the thing is like, there's going to be a bunch of Mythic Plus players who are like, boo, no, just keep it how it is. And I don't know, like, yeah, okay, cool, make it really hard, make it really competitive.
It could be an option, even on the key. You could have two things and you put the keystone in. Do you want the affix or
Chaos
no affix?
or
Do you want to have fun, or do you want to like number go up? Which one do you
the
want?
cool thing too, like on the second node, be like, if you want chaos, you all get a 15% damage increase.
Yeah,
While you're also dealing with this affix.
yeah. Have Kiss Curse, like have Kiss Curse, throw in a seasonal above 21, and I don't know. I mean, like everyone's gonna have their opinion on it, but I just think that if you want to get more people involved in like Mythic Plus and higher end content and stuff, then make the system fun. Don't make it like, oh, Billy missed his intro. What an idiot! Now everything's ruined. Like,
yeah, the whole key is thrown.
Mythic Plus is so aggressive. Everyone is so angry. Like, if you even fail once, people like blacklist you, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you failed." I'm like, "Bro, like oh, you've never made a mistake, you know?"
To be fair, as a viewer of Size stream, you die hilariously all the time. The amount of things that you just walk off is phenomenal.
But everyone in chat's having a good time, and that's what I'm there for. Like, bro, I don't care about the IO, man. Like, it just doesn't matter. Just have a good time. Talk to your chat. Mythic Plus, like Asmongold is right. Mythic Plus players are boring to watch because you just watch, like, it's just boring. Like, I don't care that you can do the 26 key. Like, I don't care. Talk to me about, something whilst you're doing it, and do a 24 key and talk to me. And that's way more interesting to me, So
it's a point that I think we definitely
earlier conversation.
Sorry, what are you saying?
You can splice the earlier conversation with the power creep. So every like key you break, and then you get a title key breaker. So there's the cool thing that you get. You get +1 primary stat. So every it absolutely helps you get better. So you can
don't say that, because it'd be some dude from Ragnaros just joining as many keys as he can and leaving.
Yeah, so then like when Race World first happens, you have a whole bunch of raiders purposely failing keys so they can get 1 primary stat.
So I do want to bring in a question from someone else that's not here to touch on what you just said, Sai. What is your position, and this comes from RL, most people know him from the community, what is your position on older dungeons being rehashed into the current expansion? Do you think the changes in the balance philosophy over the expansion make these dungeons unconditionally difficult, particularly from a damage taken standpoint? So what he's saying, if someone's listening and might not understand, a lot of the older dungeons that were brought in very much so had issues straight away. There was Pinnacle, I think it was, where if you weren't playing, not to talk about meta, because most of us hate the term meta and all that sort of stuff and what we talked about earlier, but if you weren't playing decent classes that had high burst, if you were doing a higher key, you couldn't kill the ad, then get back inside the bubble in enough time to get ready for the new ad that's going to spawn to then do damage to the boss, and it was obviously problematic, right? But do you think the dungeons being rehashed is an issue, or are you okay with this as the predominantly, M+ player here?
Like, am I okay with like old dungeons coming back into the fold? I mean, yeah, I think it's again, we're talking about, you've got all this content, Blizzard, you've got all these things that you've made over the years, put them back in. I originally, like, when they said they were going to do 4 Dragonflight dungeons and 4 old dungeons, season 1, and then season 2 the other 4, and I was really against it. I was like, no, we want all the new dungeons. We've just, it's a new expansion, give us all the new stuff. But having actually played it, I'm like, this is way better. It's way fresher. Yeah, they need to be. I mean, there's a big thing on Mythic Plus Twitter right now. Like, everyone's saying that they need to do some balancing because dungeons are a little bit wacky still. But if they've got the resources to do it, like, it takes work, and Blizzard has to be willing to put in the work if they're going to do it. They can't just throw them in and then just leave them to sit. But if they're going to put in the work, then I think it's a great idea, and I want to see Deadmine's Mythic Plus.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to ask Mr. GM if he knows any info. We got the data mine information on, like,
what do you got, Mr. GM?
It's funny, actually. So I asked Ian that actually in an interview, but the originally the limit for them, internally, was like Mr. Pandaria, I think. So when they first put in Temple of the Jade Serpent again, they actually made, so like on the PTR you can get those items which turn the keystone into like a certain dungeon. Anyway, you can buy this from a vendor on the PTR, and it makes the keystone. Anyway, you kind of create a keystone through that. Anyway, they created an item for every single Mr. Pandaria dungeon that does that. So they had Scarlet Halls on there. They had the Scarlet Monastery. I think there was 2 Scarlet Monasteries, wasn't there? And Scarlements and things like that. But the one thing I like about, kind of like to add to the Mythic Plus thing with all the dungeons is that they've got a system now where they can tune it, but only for Mythic Plus. So, for example, like with Vortex Pinnacle, they made a load of changes to it in Mythic Plus, but the normal and heroic versions are still the same as they were in Cataclysm. And I think that is really sick, and I would love to see, because here's the thing, right? People like Deadmines, but they don't remember Deadmines for the mechanics, right? They're not like, oh man, do you remember this boss did that? They could just have Deadmines and then make the mechanics, because their issue is like, oh, that it's an old dungeon, the mechanics are kind of, lackluster or whatever. But they could go back and make them, they could change the Mythic Plus version to give you the same bosses, but updated mechanics that are kind of similar to the original mechanics.
As they did for Vortex Pinnacle, because the first boss also had
Just don't give us that cookie version where it gets thrown into a pot. Whatever it was in Deadmines. I don't want that one. I want the OG one. But for me, I would love. I have no problem with Mythic Plus dungeons being reused and stuff like that, because I think it's silly not to. Right? I think that there should be a system where a lot more of them should come back than what we're seeing now. Right? I think we're seeing a very small pool, if it's possible. Right? I know that balancing is a thing. But I mean, I think that it should be possible for them to bring back a buttload of these keys that, would make M Plus more fun. It would probably make more people want to play as a group. You're like, oh, bro, let's go do, let's do Deadmines together. Or what's another great vanilla dungeon that we all play? Stratholme or something like that, right?
Let's go to Shadowfang Keep.
Moradin, oh, God. I'm AFK, I'm gone. That'd be like 4 parts. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many dungeons I think that they have potential to bring back. You know what I mean? That could be great, right? And I feel like it's a bit of waste that they don't bring more back in. So
yeah. Well, I mean, technically, Deadmines, for example, was rehashed in Cataclysm, which is the same expansion the Vortex Pinnacle was in. So anything's possible. But from a tech point of view, they can add any dungeon to Mythic Plus. And I think if you look back on Wrath of the Lich King, there are some sick dungeons in there which would be great in Mythic Plus.
Absolutely.
All those dungeons that were added what with ICC? Those 3?
Mm-hmm.
It's like Forge
more
of
Souls and
even all the Pinnacle ones, right?
No,
what
more
were they
Souls,
called?
Forge of Souls, you're right.
Yeah, all those like Pinnacle ones.
Like Utgard, Utgard, Pinnacle, and Utgard Keep. I think like the Nexus would be really cool. Gundrak would be kind of fun.
Seems like as long as you add an older dungeon that had a mount drop for it, the community would be happy.
Because this season, right?
From this season too was like what they added: Underrot, mount. They added Freehold, mount. Like just to add
Vortex
that,
Pinnacle?
the community's like, oh sweet, Vortex Pinnacle, mount, boom, easy success Mythic Plus season. Just like go back and add the mounts for dungeons that only had mount drops to it. Done. Nobody will care about how broken it is.
I guess the issue is trinkets and stuff, right? I think all the flat items, I feel like that's probably not hard to balance. I think trinkets is where it probably becomes an issue for them, where there might be some obscure trinket from a dungeon from like, I don't know, BC, where they're like, oh, this shouldn't be a problem. And they add it in, and then the trinket's doing like a bazillion damage week 1 or something.
Change the loot.
Yeah, exactly.
Change the loot.
I feel like there should be works around this. There should be works around it. If there's going to be something that's clearly broken, just nerf it. Just nerf it that day. Just don't wait a week or 2 weeks.
Which I feel like they've done a decent job. I feel like they've been way responsive on nerfs towards like trinkets and bosses and mechanics this season, especially.
It is one of the big things that they needed to do over the last couple of years. They needed to fix stuff straight away, and I think Blizzard has done, to take my hypothetical hat off to them, it's something that I think they've done very well this time around. This expansion is not waiting, I don't know, until the next patch to fix something that's clearly broken. They're like, okay, we're fixing this tonight. And there's a hot fix and it's fixed. Right? I think that's really well done of them this time around.
I think a big thing with that as well is I think balancing as a whole it's been so active, and like people can complain. I mean, like Blizzard is coming out and every week there's like a new update on a class getting a rework or a new talent or whatever. Like for Feral, we've like every patch there is a rework to some degree, and they're like working on it. And I don't care that they don't get it perfect. Like I really don't care, because you can look at any game right now on the market, any competitive game, and you will have people in the subreddit complaining about balance. It does not matter. So you're never going to have it perfect.
Not a balance druid.
Oh no! Well, I mean, I did last patch. Boy, I had fun. And So you're never going to get it perfect, but at least if we can see an effort being made, that's what matters. We just want to see the effort, and so I've been really happy with that in general. And I did want to touch, by the way, Touchpad, on your original question from an hour ago, which was about like the access of like us getting gear and if getting gear has been too quick and stuff. I don't know. Like, I've kind of really thought it was good, because the whole point is you get the gear and then you can get into the content. But I don't know if people if for a lot of people they get the gear and then that's the end goal, and then they get the gear and they go, oh well, I can quit now. But I think the fact that they've been so hot on class balance, everything seems to be in a pretty good spot right now, and you can jump into a character, you can get some gear, you can get into the content very quickly. And I think that's what WoW's kind of been missing. Before, it was really hard because you had these infinite grind systems. It was hard to get on a character. It was hard to get the item level. And then you just felt like, I don't want to put in 3 months of effort on this character before I can then get into the content I want to do. Right now, you can jump in and get geared and get going and get that, mythic raid.
And then right away, like once you get your one trinket, you can upgrade it fully and you can actually use it.
Even PvP, I'll give everyone an example. There was a tweet that Sea-Doo did a couple of months ago. I don't know if you saw it, but he was like having a whinge that he couldn't queue up for solo queue in his old season elite gear. And everyone was like, bro, it takes an hour to get higher eye level enough to be able to queue for PvP. And he was like, oh, this sucks. And I was like, even I responded, I was like, dude, what are you talking about? It's literally like an hour of BGs. Like, I get it. You're one of the best players in the world. But imagine if every healer could queue solo queue in old season's gear. It might work for you as one of the best healers in the world. It's not going to work for Barry, who's a dog shit player and is just running in a corner going, I'm Barry. It's not going to work. So
that's what Barry does.
That's what Barry does. I don't know.
Try and get into my keys. Yeah, I have to decline him.
There's somebody in your chat right now whose name is Barry, and they are very
they're very it's not me. To touch on what you said though, and sorry, Mr. GM, I don't know if you're waiting to say stuff. I know it's I don't know what time in the morning it is.
You're good. I got nothing. That's the same time as Sai.
Is it? Are you guys on the same time zone?
Early as hell for them.
Is it early for you guys?
In the same house.
Yeah, it's 10 a.m. Yeah. Me.
10 a.m.
Oh, that's not too bad. So Touchpad's in the shit space.
Yeah, Touchpad's in.
Okay, that's all right then.
No, he's always
I'm always
anyway.
in the shit space, physically and mentally.
Full time, baby.
Full of anxiety. I'm good. Let's go. So, what I wanted to say, just on what you said, Size, I think this illusion that the game is going to be more balanced than it is right now is bullshit. It's completely. I've casted for Blizzard for PvP. You've casted for Blizzard for M+, right? No matter what competitive game you look at that has some level of esports, people need to get this through their head. There is always going to be a meta, right? There's always look at Counter-Strike. There's always a meta of guns. Look at League of Legends. There's absolutely always a meta. Dota, always a meta. World of Warcraft esports.
Demon Hunter, always meta.
But this illusion that there's going to be better balancing than what we're probably seeing right now is just not existent. It's not true. The game right now is quite well balanced to an extent. You might not, if you play a druid, you might not want to play, say your guild needs a ranged DPS, right? Balanced druid is more than good enough to do any content in the game. Feral druid, more than good enough to do any content in the game. Guardian druid, I don't know. I don't know where it caps out in terms of M+. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think the only exception is when you start to look at like 28, 27 plus keys. But that's a little bit different, right? You're playing at a very small percentage of players that they cannot balance the game around. It's impossible. So
yeah.
Mr. GM, did you have a question?
I don't have a dog in this fight, but I wanted to talk about the patch cadence thing again because I thought that was kind of fun. If you want to chat about that,
no.
How you guys feel about that? It seems like we're getting a patch every 6 weeks. So they put out the roadmap at the beginning of the year. Was it the beginning of the year last year? I don't know. These days just merge into one. But they put out the roadmap of like the entire year, which I thought was actually really cool. To be honest, and they said, we're getting 1.5 patches, 1.7 patches, which are like prelude patches to the big patches, and then we're getting obviously 10.2 by the end of the year. How do you guys feel about, I guess, the roadmap, and then like what has come out of those patches? I guess in a sense.
I mean, like I said at the start, I think the game is in a great place. Right? Outside of, I wish I had more to do in game. Right? And maybe this is just from me not really care. I don't have like a group to play M+ with anymore, so I get kind of bored. I don't have like mates that I can chill in comms with and do keys and just do like, I'd rather do mindless 16 keys or 20s and have fun than do 25 keys. I think touchpad, or maybe Sai touched on it earlier, I can't stand watching someone do high keys if their chat's inactive. I cannot stand it. A high key player is carried by their chat. Right? Same with Mythic Rating. I don't know if you guys know, this is the first expansion ever since the game has come out that I've stepped down for Mythic Rating. I've never done that before. And a big part of that is because of how big World First Race is now. From a streaming point of view, as I'm sure you guys know, when World First Race is on, it's a horrible time to be a streamer, right? And moving forward after, if you're still progressing on bosses that everyone, including yourself, has watched people kill time and time and time again. We were looking at guilds doing 700 to 900 splits this expansion, right? I don't want to watch myself do it after watching it be killed 900 times, right? And if you join the raid and the community raids and you don't know the mechanics by that point, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? But for me, I actually stepped down because I think it was a better decision for me streaming-wise as well. Because it's just, if you're progressing on those bosses 3 months from now on Mythic, no one cares, man. No one cares. And if you raid Mythic, especially even at the later dates, you have to have an active chat. You have to. If you don't have an active chat, it is horrible. And you're because I'll do the same thing. If I join a chat, is there a dog behind you or what's happening, Touchpad?
Yeah, that's my German Shepherd.
I had no idea there was a dog there. I was really confused. I thought you were twerking or something, and I was.
Sir, I am in a suit. I am here to be classy. All right.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were just talking about. It's like I feel like you have to have an active chat for these things to be enjoyable. Otherwise, most of the content isn't there, right? And with the patches coming out, I think it's like, when these patches drop so quickly or there's not much burnout, people are still enjoying themselves. There's still a lot to talk about, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it took me a long time to get back to that point, but I got there. So.
You're fine. Proud of you. Straight up, like my stream took off a lot better when I quit rating.
Yeah,
like, that was one of the things I abandoned. Yeah. So I used to do like progression rating. I used to do that shit a lot. Burning Crusade, Wrath, Kata, and stuff. I was rating like 5-6 nights a week. Say off night and 7th night. No, you're doing 10 player. Like, it's going to happen. And I think it was, what was the raid before Nilotha? For BFA?
Battle
Eternal Palace?
Zarlo? Yeah.
Eternal Palace. Eternal Palace was the
Eternal Palace. Oh, God, yeah.
Nilotha. And we're wiping an Orgazoa.
Right?
Yeah. We're wiping an Orgazoa. It was like our 300th attempt. It was like, this is just rough to watch. Like, this is not valuable content towards anybody. This is super late in the season. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go for the charisma route over like skill based. Like, who the fuck's watching my ass to try to learn how to play a warrior? Like, that's just not going to happen. And as soon as I switched that's when things took off to be better.
And
so,
TikTok.
I agree with you. Huh?
And TikTok dancing.
You're a TikToker.
Okay, TikTok wasn't a popular. I don't even think TikTok was out in BFA. Shush.
It was Musically.
What the hell?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
You're on Vine. Touchpad on Vine. Watch.
I did.
Touchpad isn't allowed to drink during his regular streams. He's only drinking now because his audience isn't old enough to drink. So normally, taking advantage of
shit, thank you. They educate me about bourbon more than I know.
Can you make a Fortnite video just so your target audience knows what's going on? One Fortnite video a week.
You know how hard it was to reach into like TikTok just making World of Warcraft content, an 18-year-old game where everybody else, like average player base age is like 35. That shit was tough, man.
Yeah, I know how you do it. You made a video today about at a barbarian build that's clearly not the strongest build, and in bold letters it says
"Did you laugh?
Strongest barbarian build."
But did you laugh?
No, I haven't watched it. I just saw the text, and then I watched you cast Hoda once, and I went, "You're full of shit."
In asterisk, it said broken, and if you watch at the end, it said, "I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about." I said broken at the start of this video.
Wonderful.
Well, I don't think you swore because your kids will get upset.
No, I started to. Apparently, once you,
I just don't know what the fudge you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's good to have you back, Touchpad.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
I actually looked at touchpads when I started making TikTok. I looked at touchpad. I went, "What the hell? This guy's got views." And so
You're still not following me on
looked at
TikTok,
your-
by the way.
Yeah, I am. Am I
I
not,
don't know. No,
bro?
I follow your ass.
I was going to
That's what
re-upload
I
his
said.
popular ones and get my editor to edit my face over the top of his
they
face.
Put it on
and just
reels or
copy
something.
that.
That's what people do, right?
That's why I made it
Make
so
sure
you
it's got
can't
the
save my
watermark.
videos.
We're
Are
gonna
you?
do a live. We're gonna do a live following of touchpad right now, bro. Am I not following you? I go on your TikTok all the time. Okay.
Is your cell phone
that's
case
fine.
an in and out phone case?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you even
My
have
brother
an in-and-out
sent
here?
me one of your reels,
No.
Will. And
Oh, yeah?
he was like, "Was this the guy you went for dinner with?" I was like, "It is, yeah."
Was it the one where it was my playtime?
I don't know. I don't watch your videos.
Oh.
I've searched
I'm gonna let my dog out. All right.
It was the playtime one, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I've searched touchpad on TikTok and it's come up with touchpad not working, touchpad warrior, touchpad keyboard, touchpad laptop error. Am I on the right? I think
Touchpad
I'm
not working is
warrior.
just
Are you on
Say.
Vine? If you guys want to keep up to date with
Damn.
touchpad, you can follow him on MySpace. He's always on there. So
Yeah.
Yep. Tal,
No, it's-
he's on Bebo.
it's a weird thing. Just
Yeah,
while he's taking his dog out, it's a weird thing right now. I guess the first conversation we had, I really wish I had more IRL friends playing the game. Right now, look, I understand that's all changed now because Diablo. You know, everyone's playing Diablo, and I think it'll be that way for a little while. I think to get off topic of WoW for a second, I think it's actually a little interesting. I've been playing a lot of Diablo. I'm like level 80 plus on a character, and we made like a level 50 last night, something like that. Because you can get like boost in like 20 minutes now. It's interesting. I actually, until seasonal comes, but everyone knows seasonal is a very short-term thing, right? It's like a month max, if that. I actually do worry a little bit about Diablo, about the longevity of Diablo, in terms of like we're already not seeing much build diversity, right? If you played Diablo 3 for 10 years, you played Whirlwind, or Hoda was quite good as well, but you genuinely played Whirlwind. Right now, if you play Whirlwind, Bleed, or Hoda. That's pretty much it, right? So I actually do worry a little bit about, but maybe it's just a personal thing. Maybe for me, I can be like, okay, there's like 2 builds I can play on Druid, maybe 3.
No. See, this is the thing, right? Is like, this is the problem. Somebody finds a build, right? Pulverize for Druid.
Yep.
Somebody finds a build. Oh, Pulverize is good. You get it online very early, whatever. So then everyone goes, oh, what is best build? They go watch a touchpad video that says broken best build, right? People are searching for like 1 billion damage hit. Like, people are just looking at these videos on shorts and stuff like that. Yeah. And so then everyone starts playing that build. There's actually a graph or a chart that I tweeted about, and it shows the build diversity of every class right now. And like 90% of people are playing Pulverized Druid. However, I
just want to point out I'm not playing Pulverized. Thank you very much.
I'm playing it, but I started playing it as I was leveling. Like I played a few different builds, but there's 2 problems with it, right? First one is that because everyone's playing that build, no one's experimenting with new builds. So you kind of get like, you get no exploration because everyone goes, oh, well, just works. However, you go and look, and there are other people making videos. I saw a guy at level 100 solo a world tier 4 world boss
mods.
As a werewolf with
mods.
Tornado. Mods. And then also there was another guy doing an attack speed werewolf where you just basic attack and you shred through everything. So other builds do work, but nobody's going to try it unless they see the TikTok video of it. And then also, Diablo 4 right now is awful for switching builds. You cannot save loadouts of gear. Yeah. You cannot save loadouts of paragons, of skills. It's awful. There's no point experimenting.
Like, I wish I could,
because you can't
because I have
builds.
all the gear in my bank.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, if you want to do lead builds,
don't get me started on 4 bank slots. Okay, don't even. I just made an alt, and I had to carry them in my bags.
Panda.
Huh?
This is a World of Warcraft podcast.
Sorry.
We're just talking about what we're doing before reset.
Okay? World of Warcraft.
It doesn't say World of Warcraft. It says right before reset. It could be an Activision podcast. We can talk about Overwatch 2. Okay, we're done. That's it. That's all the content we had to talk about.
We're talking about Heroes of the Storm. Okay? We're gonna
let's have a Heroes of the Storm stream day, all right? It'll last 7 minutes. So...
Fuck.
Yeah, it's sorry, what were you gonna say?
No. You go ahead. You go.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like I think the timeline for quite the segue back, by the way. I think the timeline from what we're seeing looks great. Right? Obviously, you would know more about like the timeline of what is coming up. I think I don't really know what else they could give us as players, right? Besides things that are maybe a little bit more in game, but from an outside perspective, it looks really good. While someone else talks, I'm actually going to find the timeline.
Yeah, I agree. I'll jump in on that as well. I'm really happy with the cadence of it. Like so much so that I've actually missed Race to World First because of how quickly they've been putting them out. And I've gone, wait, what? Oh, I made plans because I didn't expect that they were going to release it this quickly. It's been awesome. I mean, like you had droughts. People complained for years about content droughts in WoW, and just to get more regular content, I think is fantastic. I don't really know what people can complain about in World of Warcraft right now. Like, I genuinely don't think that there's like any complaints that I can see that are tangible. Everyone just seems like they want to complain because that's what they're so used to. Because we're getting regular patches, we're getting weekly balancing, we're getting like new dungeons every patch, right? Like
people are just going to complain if that's an option. Like you're not going to go.
I just don't know what you can complain about. Like they're giving us all of the stuff that we've ever asked for. And I think if you're complaining at this point, you're just a grumpy guts, you know.
Grumpy guts. That's going to happen. Like the only time you're going to have something to say is when it's something negative. Like if you go to a restaurant and you had the best steak dinner of your life, you're not going to go to Yelp immediately afterwards and make sure to tell people like this was the best steak I had in my life. No,
a lot of people do that
again.
A lot of people do that.
That's horrifying. Are you?
What do you mean? A lot of people Yelp review and say this is a good steak. What do you mean? That's not uncommon.
I think there's way more people saying negative things than there are people saying positive things.
Oh, okay. I thought you said they go online and say nice things. I was like, what?
Yeah, he's saying people don't do that. He's saying people don't give nice reviews.
Yeah, it's not the typical person.
I don't know. I won't hound on about it, but I think you might be wrong.
Panda, I like your jacket. So, like, more people would say something bad about you than they would say something good about you. So, I'm changing that dynamic.
Whoa, what the hell?
There. Like, no, I'm just saying that's human.
That's I know.
So, like, they find something negative and they're like, I need to preach about this online. Like, this is terrible and I feel like this is unjust. Instead of being
people
like,
prefer being angry instead of happy.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Exactly. Bad news spreads faster than good news. So, like, if you have something bad to say, you're going to say that shit somewhere.
Oh, it's the algorithm of every social media platform and Twitch. Right,
outrage.
The best way to grow as a Twitch streamer is to ride the terms of service line, occasionally break it, get banned for a week, go viral on Reddit, come back with more followers.
Or controversy. So all of us here have to start banter and beef with each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Controversy
creates cash.
I could say a lot about a content creator from the UK, but I won't.
Yes, Si.
Which one?
Bullying.
No, I'm not going to say it.
I'll take
I'm not going to say it. He's not on the podcast.
I'll tank in real life.
Come after my hairline, brother. I dare you.
I said he's not on the podcast. No, looking at the timeline, right? You look at what? So we're on 10.1 right now, right?
Oh, I get it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Did it take that long?
That was lag. All right.
I don't know who you're talking about, but I feel like I want to know now. Chat, DM me.
Yeah, I will. So we're in 10.1 right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got new zone, new raid, new PvP season, new Mythic Plus pool of dungeons, professional updates. So the summer patch is going to be the mega dungeon, world events. So the world events could be something that's fun, as long as it's like this not one-time thing, right? They're good?
Yeah, they're fun. There's lots of loads and loads of rewards. Like, yeah, it's going to take a while, but it's fun.
I think they do it wrong with that stuff, though, because the item level of the gear is already replaced before they even release. Like, they release them too late. Like, it feels like with a lot of the world content. Huh?
You don't get gear from it. I mean, there is gear, but it's like casual gear, right? Like, I don't know. Is
they should buff it up,
whatever the... Yeah.
One of the things they said to do was like they want to make it so that players that do not progress in content, like doing PvE or PvP stuff to increase their item level, had something to still keep comparable in doing open world content like world quests, etc. So in those,
actually, no, there is some gear. Sorry,
so
I was getting confused.
No, but the gear is probably like what Mythic Zero would be, I would imagine.
Well, so they're bringing out. This is the cool part of it. So it's the system's called Time Rifts. I won't go on about it, but
I'm sure
there's rewards that are trinkets.
You all could watch.
No, I haven't done it yet. I'm working on it. There's trinkets. So the trinkets are really cool because they have the effects of old legendaries. So there's like the paracausal fragment of Frostmourne, for example, and that has the effect of Shadowmourne as its proc, which is really cool. And then there's like a Ragnaros one. There's a Warglaves one. There's one for Valinor. There's one for what else is there? Well, basically every legendary, even Thunder Fury and things like that. And they're really cool. I don't know. I think the item level is like 421, which isn't great, and I don't think it's upgradable. But work in progress PTR. So actually, no, I think it is upgradable, but. Right? Yeah, well, not even that. I mean, like I think it'll be. Some of them might be quite competitive because they've got some really sick effects.
I hope the Ragnaros one spawns a little Ragnaros with legs. He's just got little tiny legs and he runs with you.
It's whatever the Handarag proc is. I don't know what it is, but
I think it deals fly damage to a single target. Yeah, I think it is.
Shoots a boulder.
Yeah, fire. But they're really easy to get. Like you get them super, super quick, which I guess is the point if people want to get them and try them and whatever. But they're definitely really cool. And right now they're super broken on PTR, like they don't have cooldowns, so you could just one shot raid bosses with it. But yeah, they're really cool. And I do think the item level, if it is going to be, I think it's, as said, like kind of low. They won't be relevant for a lot of people. So maybe it'd be cooler if, I think your participation would go up if you made them higher and upgradable. I think they are upgradable, but they're still like LFR level.
I think they try to like tease at players using open world trinkets while they're doing open world activities. Because we saw that a little bit in Zardoz Caverns, right? There were some trinkets that did like really well in open world content compared to doing like in raid.
Closed world content, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's always a good thing as well.
Like an open world build compared to like a raiding build.
Yep.
I don't have like a full set of gear, like, but a trinket or two, sure, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Okay, they're upgradable to 424. So it's Frostmourne, Sulphurous, Thunder Fury. There's a Charlemagne one. I don't know what that does. Valinor and yeah. So, but yeah, 424 they're upgradable too, which is not great.
Yeah, but I mean, it might be something that you'd use in the outside world. It might be some sort of broken one that you could probably use in Raid or M+. It might have some little cool ability that you can use somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, and looking at the roadmap, right, we got Mega Dungeon, we got content system updates, we got the storyline quest. This is for fall, holiday refresh, content system updates, and then 10.2 is new raid, new zone, new PvP season, Mythic Plus pool, additional content and features, and then around that time, I think we have BlizzCon as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it looks like it's going to be rad. Like, again, there's not much I can say besides my, like, there being no grind, which I wish there was. I wish it was some sort of system. I think overall, Dragonflight should be seen as a great expansion so far, I think, for most players, right?
I would agree.
So it is 7:45, so what we normally do, because we want to try and keep this to about 2 hours every time for the sake of people using clips or whatever there is. If you don't know, again, chat, this is the first episode back. All the overlays, I can't find them, so we'll have a bit more fancy next week. That's on me. But at about this time, so 7:45 p.m. Sydney time, we actually open up to Q&A. So if you have a question that is to do with WoW, obviously, or something that maybe we've talked about or anything like that, and you want us to answer it, type it in the chat now. And yeah, we'll because we're going to be uploading this audio, I think, somewhere as well. I'll make sure that I read the questions out. But if you guys do have something to ask, now is the time. And
so we need 20 questions in chat. Somebody rolls a d20. We just pick whatever number question line that was, right?
Someone said, can you talk about PvP and how bad the MMR system is with all the tweets from streamers like Lontar? I think with PvP, we didn't really get too much time to touch on it. I think PvP is in a bit of a weird place, right? Where I think the systems itself that are attached with PvP, obviously when you look at... did you really not bring up your topic? You did!
No, I didn't.
What was it?
We'll talk about it after. It's fine. I just wanted to make a joke in chat.
You brought up something, didn't you?
No, we got the Q&A. It's fine.
Hold him up on the big screen. Panda, click on his name. No,
okay,
go for it.
What's your topic? There you go, Si. What is it?
Well, no, I just wanted to make a joke. I don't mind not bringing it up. I was going to... My topic was... I thought it was going to be a really good one. It was going to be how hard should WoW be? That was going to be my topic.
Okay.
About as hard as I can.
We kind of discussed it quite a bit anyway.
Okay. Can I quickly just say, I think, and I've heard a lot of people disagree with this, I think the raid difficulty right now is phenomenal. I think it is in a very good place. Like I said, I stepped down. We're just doing heroic raids, and then we're doing a community night. We cleared we cleared normal with viewers, and some of them, just really good viewers. Okay, really good. Okay, it struggled a little bit on eye level. Okay,
can I ask you? When you were signing up the group, did anyone that queued whisper you and you invited them?
No, because it was all, we made like a guild and stuff. And look, some people struggled on eye level. Okay, some people had clearly come back to the game, but I said, look, you can be like 400 eye level. I don't care. Some people were under that mark by a little bit, but we cleared it like week 2. We cleared normal, and the mechanics were perfect in terms of like trying to explain it. They were so simple for heroic and normal. I can't talk on mythic too much because I'm not doing mythic raiding anymore. But from what I watched, the mechanics were very obvious, right? They were very, okay, this portal's going to be on the ground. You need to soak this portal. You need to move away from this mechanic. There's going to be a frontal. Move away from it. When a boss lands, it's going to have a cone that comes out. Don't stand in the cone. Don't run this fire into the middle. Stuff like that. It's very easy to explain. And I think entry level to raiding is perfect right now. I think it should stay around here for like the normal heroic. I can't talk on mythic. I don't know what the curve's like right now.
I 100% agree. I feel like it's been really nice, and I feel like as a lot of players have to pug content, it has made it a little bit more accessible. Because if the mechanics end up being too difficult, nobody even wants to bother trying to pug it. They'll watch some other streamer do it, or they'll watch a YouTube video and see how many mechanics are happening. And if it's too complicated to try to understand, then they also know not only themselves are responsible for those things, but 20 other players, give or take. Mm-hmm. So they don't even want to try to opt in for bugging that content. So they just won't do it. So I think it definitely needs to be at this pace. I really like this pace. It's been very comfortable. The last boss in Heroic, I've been told, is a pain in the ass. And I've tried it a few times. I got like 30%.
Honestly, the last boss on Heroic is people just need to know what they're doing. Right? They need to watch a video, and then the mechanics honestly aren't hard. Phase 1 is the hardest part. And then after that, it's almost exactly the same part, except for like the
exact last, like the very dead last phase.
And it's just people need to not be stressed out. It's not mechanically, it's not a hard fight, even on Heroic. It's really not, right?
Yeah. But I do like the pacing. I do like the difficulty. I don't think it needs to be too difficult. I do think, as somebody that doesn't experience Mythic, just watches it, I think there should be like almost a huge gap between Heroic and Mythic. Like, okay, this is for raiders, this is for raid teams. That's how I think would be my incentive to try to join a raid roster to see that content and then have a higher skip and out of level for gear.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion. That's what I would like, because I think that would incentivize me as a player that's pugging normal heroic to try to find a raid team to do that content there.
I think one point with this as well is I think that when the raid is fun to do, as opposed to like, there's been raids over the last couple of years, like even if you look at, you know, some of the raids in Shadowlands, even once your guild has done it 900 times, right? We all know Sylvanas, for example. Sylvanas reclears still sucked on Mythic. It was a shit thing to reclear, right? I think one of the things right now is when reclears are relatively fast and they're you know, if everyone, you can still have a laugh and stuff like that. Like if we go into Heroic right now, we're laughing, talking crap until like the last boss, right? We're still having fun. And I think that's what it's more about, especially from a streaming point of view. I'd rather go in and do Heroic and laugh with my mates and all those types of things. Can I say something quite controversial? I miss, and one thing that I wish was back in the game, now I'll say it first, I really, really wish it had a cap, but I miss Titan forging and stuff like that. To an extent, right?
Bring it back.
I say this as someone that at the touchpad has left the call again.
Bring it back.
I say this as someone that at the time was doing mythic raids. We were clearing 2 times a week and stuff like that. So we were raiding a lot. And one of the only things that really made it enjoyable was this chance that I could get a piece of gear. Now, I'll say this to cap this point off, is I wish that looking for raid capped out at normal. Normal capped out at heroic. Heroic capped out at Mythic, and then Mythic had like I don't know, 5 to 10 eye levels, 15 eye levels above that, right? Because it made reclears exciting, right? It made you have a reason to go back in there again and do the thing on an alt or do the thing on another character. Now we don't really have that, right?
So think like maybe like more like low tier Warforged, where it was like just a 5 or 10 eye level increase instead of being like a 20 potential or 40.
Yeah, I don't think some guy getting a higher than mythic eye level piece from looking for raid and then receiving death threats is a good thing for the game. You know what I mean? That warrior that got the trinket off Gul'dan, he got the looking for raid trinket at Warforged to like higher than mythic, and everyone was telling him to like kill himself.
Yeah, here's a fun one. When Battle for Azeroth drops, I did a random world quest and got max Titanforge roll on a pair of bracers that had perfect stats in a socket.
There you go. Must be nice.
I think there's
apparently
like
that ended up in a Mad Season video. I didn't even know how the fuck he got that content. It was probably on Instagram. Right. I don't know how the fuck he saw that.
Off your TikTok.
Like, it just maxed. TikTok wasn't around.
Oh, I'm just joking.
Musically.
Stop bullying me for me, a TikTok guy. Musically? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what it used to be called.
You are the TikTok guy. Just mathematically, you are the TikTok guy.
Just
put your hand up if you've got a TikTok with over 1 million views. TikTok guy.
Zam!
For anyone listening, audio only.
Successful.
Touchpad put his hand up.
TikTok warrior.
If it was musically, then Panda could play as well flute, couldn't
Why
he?
did I agree to be on here?
But yeah, I don't know, Dan, if you had anything to bring up on that, because I want to jump on it. If
no,
not, I want to
it's all you. I got no
juice.
Nothing to say on that.
No dogs, no juice. Okay, well, for me, I think time forging, you could do it in a couple of interesting ways. First of all, you could do it like Mr. Pandaria, so every piece of gear could be upgraded 10 item levels or 15, I think, or it was like 5 or 10 or 10 to 15. So you just do Titan forging, as your roles could either be Warforged or Titan Forge to 10 to 15 item level increase, but you should also be able to get an upgradable token as you're doing content, so you can upgrade gear manually. That way, if you do get a lucky Titan Forge, you're like, oh, cool, but you're not like, oh my god, my gear isn't Titan Forge, I'm never going to catch up, and you're chasing these, it's like Diablo, and you're like chasing these crazy small chances of getting this max roll. But that's just in a similar vein of what you said, Panda. But I also think like a lot of people really focus on this situation, like you said, Touch, where you're doing a world quest and you get an item and it max rolls higher than mythic. But like ultimately, who cares? I think like it doesn't matter if somebody
couldn't get bracers as an upgrade for about a good 6 months.
That's true, but like in a sense, like I think a lot of people don't like it that people that aren't doing the hardest content in the game can get something that they have or can't even get. And I think it's just like, it doesn't matter, because if you have somebody who's not doing Mythic Raid or not doing High Mythic Plus or PvP or whatever, them having good gear literally doesn't matter. And if they have one really high piece, that's like this, it's
not going to make them a Mythic Raider automatically, right?
Exactly.
They're
not suddenly better at the
day,
game than you.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter too much. The only problem is that you have people like THD, where if Titan Forging did exist and it could roll up quite a bit, then you kind of felt with Titan Forging where unless you had every single piece of gear max Titan Forge, you just weren't happy with loot. So that was a big issue for me with the loot system when Titan Forging was around. But a positive from it is you would go and do content, low level content with friends, say normal raid, or you would do low level mythics. And right now, my friend could ask me, "Hey, do you want to do a +2 with me?" And I would tell them no in a very unkind way.
I feel like you're probably
say no way.
Fuck off.
Yeah. But if Titan Forging exists, then you're like, or when Legendaries dropped, you were like, oh yeah, I'll come do it because I might get something really, really good.
Yeah.
And they've kind of handled that with the upgrade tokens right now. If you do anything between an 11 and a 16, you kind of need those upgrade tokens anyway because they're in short supply. Yeah. So you have an incentive to.
But we also need something to get rid of the lower tier ones. That's the most important thing right now. I have about 50 to 60 of them. Give me something to do with them, please, Blizzard. Please, for the love of Christ.
Oh, yeah. Those are all my thoughts on Titan Forging in a quick TLDR. Yeah.
Okay. And back to your original question, just before we wrap this up.
Mm-hmm.
Your question again, just in case any of the other boys want to say something.
I did.
My question was, how hard should World of Warcraft be? And you guys both kind of answered it, I guess. Panda and Touch, where you guys both just said the difficulty right now is pretty good. Like it's in a good spot in terms of rating, and I agree.
I think just mechanically, the mechanics are very obvious. And I think that someone could watch like a Hazel video and understand a fight. And I think that that's great, right? And I'm talking up until Heroic. After Mythic, I think it should be a lot more difficult. And I assume that it is. I haven't done Mythic this time around. So, but it seemed like progression from guilds was good. It was like relatively like you looking at guilds now progressing. Most people are on at this point onto like, second to third to last boss. And I think that's good. I think it's good pacing, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was just going to wrap up and say, I think that I kind of touched on it earlier, but I think Blizzard should definitely look at making things, we talked about Reaping coming back in Mythic Plus and stuff like that. I think Blizzard should really try and look to inject the fun into things where they can, because ultimately WoW is not an esport. And that's coming from somebody who makes part of their living from casting the esport section of WoW. So I have an incentive for WoW to be an esport. And I think that the game would perform better if it wasn't looked at so much as an esport and it was more, like Mythic Plus should be for fun. It should be a bit wacky.
More of Souls Reaping. Bring it back. Ship them both back.
And then like Mythic raiding shouldn't take 4 months for a world, 500 guild to clear. Like it's too long and it's just soul destroying. But those are my kind of
nice
TLDR
destroyed, huh?
Bro.
The problem is with esports, and I've casted for Blizzard, right? The problem is, and we'll probably have to wrap up at this point because I want to try and keep it around 2 hours. I'll give everyone their big shout out and stuff like that. But I think the problem with esports is, with WoW, is it's a horrible esport. If I'm being honest, I think from a PvP perspective, it's a horrible esport. What I mean by that is, I played this game since closed beta, right? I casted, now, for me, it was very unfortunate. I casted next to Azael, who now casts for League of Legends World Finals. He's very, very, very good. And I've casted with other people, Super Ts and stuff like that. And my job was to pretty much just talk shit until they needed to breathe. When they breathed in, I talked, right? And even watching it, I can understand what's going on the screen. But the problem with WoW as an esport, I think Mythic Plus is a little bit different. I think there's a lot of potential in Mythic Plus to an extent. And I think that the Great Push, there's a lot of potential in as well. The problem with esports and WoW is as simple as this. Counter-Strike. You could explain to someone's mum, there is 2 bases, there is counter-terrorist, terrorist. Bad guys plant a bomb in either of these bases. The good guys need to kill them and defuse the bomb. That's it. That's the game. That's esports 101 for Counter-Strike. The nuances and so much stuff that happens in World of Warcraft, even really good players will miss what happens within the esports, especially within PvP, because a player will do some sick move. Picker will, sap, leave combat, vanish, sap another player, go over there, stun someone just off the DR as it finishes 0.01%, go back, kill a totem that was important.
They have to talk for the AWCs?
Exactly right. And it makes it so difficult for people to understand. And I think that's where esports as a whole, for WoW, I think it sort of lacks, right? I think that you're 100% correct when you say WoW should be looked at as a fun game, not going down the road of being an esport game. And I hope that WoW continues to do that, from my opinion. So
I agree.
I'm telling you, dragon riding is the esport of the future for WoW. And if Blizzard doesn't invest in it, then they're missing an opportunity. It is the esport of the future of WoW.
Listen, I'll throw up $250 if anyone else wants to jump in. We'll make our own monthly Dragonflight $1,000 rewards.
Yeah, sure.
I'll put in $5. Yeah.
I'll put in 10.
Hang on, how long until the Twitch contract changes? We got about another month, right? And after that, you guys have to pay us to put it on. That's it.
Yeah.
But
you want this content?
No sponsors.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we obviously didn't get too much time to do the Q&A, but listen, 2 weeks from now, we'll be back again. Hopefully, we're going to be able to do this every second week on the same day. Getting content creators, especially 4 full-time content creators together, is an absolute nightmare. We were meant to do this about a month ago. Things happened, then more things happened, then I had surgery, and then things happened, then Sai was in Japan, and then World First Race was on. Touchpad was drunk. Mr. GM had beta to play. It was just a lot of things.
Yeah,
but before we get out of here, can I get a shout out from every one of you of where they can watch you? We'll start with Mr. GM. What is your channel? What's your social media? Where can people watch you? Why should they watch you?
Yeah, so primarily on TikTok. You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, Mr. GM, Twitter, Mr. GMYT, where I post hideous amounts of spoilers and moan about various things. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm over there. I like Twitter a lot, weirdly enough. I enjoy it. I don't know why.
Twitter's a terrible place. It's a silly place. You say go for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so you can find me on Twitch. Also, I'm going to start streaming on Kick and YouTube simultaneously going forward, as well as I'll still be doing my Twitch stuff, but it's just cyber_TV on everything. Same with like Twitter and stuff. I do YouTube videos. I try and just like when I'm playing, I try and do a lot of chat interactions. So if you like that, I do reasonably high Mythic Plus stuff, and then I try and talk to chat a bunch because that's the fun bit. And I just have a whole host of terrible, awful opinions, I guess. And that's that.
Just real quick, by the way, have you looked at your Twitch contract, Si? Or looked at the updated
No, I haven't
Twitch
looked at it.
contracts?
I've not had a chance yet.
If you're a partner, my man, I don't think you can multi-stream anymore. They're taking that away. I mean,
no, you don't even need to be a partner. You just be a Twitch streamer.
Yeah, I think they had taken that away, my man, with the updated thing. Oh, they did?
No, surely not.
They literally, it was the biggest uproar like a week ago, so if you missed
and then
it.
they saw the controversy behind it, and they were like, "Oh, sorry."
I would look into it.
If it's even if I'm not allowed to do it, I'm going to do it anyway because you're actually killing everyone's income, and I'm going to be homeless soon if you don't stop. So, fuck you, Twitch, and yeah, see you guys, see you, chat. Thank you.
And Touchpad, where can people watch you and why?
I only make TikTok content, and it's cringe content to make people uncomfortable. I sit here and twerk my ass on Frostmourne. So if you'd like to watch that, I wish I was kidding. That's an actual video. Hi, my name's Touchpad Warrior. If you enjoy a cozy spot to hang out and collect some mounts, pop on in. I play WoW on a touchpad. I have a huge Instagram following and TikTok. I make a lot of social media shit, but I stream on Twitch 6 nights a week. I don't know what it is in AST, but it's 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's it.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you for watching.